Make myself a little smaller, covering up the screen. Okay, yeah, it's late night. My son's preparing his meals for the week because he doesn't eat enough. I eat too much, he doesn't eat enough. So he's preparing meals. And so you're going to hear background noise, but I don't care. As long as you can hear me. Oh yeah, I'm coming through too loud and clear. There's a lot of videos I was going to play. Someone said I should I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little bit in a cranky mood tonight, and I'm not sure why, but maybe it'll make for a fun stream. And people are welcome to call in late night. Surprising stories from former atheists. Basically, I'm not going to watch this, but basically it's about how atheism doesn't give you hope, meaning, and purpose, blah, 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 and so therefore you should stay Christian. Okay, next. Oh yeah, we want to get into that. Oh yeah, are the Gospels historically accurate? This guy again, what's his name? Dr. Peter Williams. This is just so completely boring. I went through this. I don't know why I went through this. Saying, you know, look, compare the Gospels to these other people and earliest copies. That has nothing to do with whether or not it's true. I mean, the people who listen to guys like Dr. Peter Williams, the people in the audience, okay, this is the cranky me coming through, but they would be crushed talking to a guy like me. I mean, I would get a guy like Peter Williams to admit, yeah, just because we have early copies and a lot of them doesn't mean it's true. Get him to say that publicly out loud. Yeah, and just because the Gospels get geography right, that doesn't mean the core claims are true. Common names, oh, so ridiculous. Telephone game. Feeding of the 5,000. He tries to defend the feeding of the 5,000s by saying it's in all four Gospels, independent accounts. Really? Paging the flying man. You would not believe other big claims based on the similar evidence. Yeah. Holy Spirit wrote the Bible? Okay. At some point, you just have to nod your head and back away. Okay, what's next? This one. Ben Shapiro and Alex O'Connor talked. They're two very smart guys. But you know what? I started watching this. I got up to about here, 34 minutes in, and I was already bored. They talked about free will for the first 25 minutes. And it kind of bored me, to be honest. Now they're talking about morality. Even that bored me. I don't know what's wrong with me. I mean, it's just boring. Yeah, try not to kill people. Yeah. So we're not gonna. I must say the lighting was good though. But this actually got my dopamine up. This one. And the reason why I got my dopamine up is because my friend Nathan. I actually like Billboard Chris. I like Peter Boghossian, and I like Nathan from Digital Gnosis. And I think I can give a kind of a good perspective, independent perspective, because I understand, I think, all these men who disagree with each other. But I must say this. Nathan did a brilliant job at manipulating Billboard Chris's emotions. And I'm not sure why I like that, but I found that very enjoyable to see Nathan manipulate Billboard Chris. And Billboard Chris, if you ever watch this, you should watch your facial expressions during this, because he did manipulate you. He had you at the end of his little finger, making you dance to his tune. And you let him do it. That's why another reason why I made the title of this, Stop Letting Me Manipulate You, but stop letting people manipulate you. Okay, so let's watch this together. I would like to call him. You mean you like to call me? Yeah, should I put the link in the description now, or should we watch this first? Not the link in the live stream chat. Let's start watching this. If somebody wants to call in, tag me, and I'm open to someone exciting me tonight.
I know where I stand on this.
Okay. Children cannot consent to puberty blockers. 5.
And for the people who don't have a clue, Spectrum SE, it's in the title of this live stream. What SE stands for is street epistemology. Spectrum is describing this process. So you got strongly agree, strongly disagree in a spectrum, you see. And Peter asks questions, and people answer, and then they discuss why they're different. It's a great concept. I like it.
4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, you're neutral. Why are you neutral?
I think the notion of consent, particularly medical consent for children, is a complicated one, and I'm not sure where I stand on it.
What is complicated about it?
Obviously, I understand what people mean when they say consent, that someone can, in their right mind, make a decision about something. I think what's complicated about it is that children sort of do make some decisions about their health and don't make other decisions about their health. I'm not sure if those cases are closely analogous enough to the case of puberty blockers to drive me one way or the other.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So the question you have is whether children can consent to things in their health sometimes, if that's the same as
In this case.
Can they consent to
Things like this as well.
So then the question is...
See, these things most people don't notice, but I'm a trained professional, so I notice these things. Look at Billboard Chris.
Health sometimes, if that's the same as...
In this case.
Can they consent to
Things like this as well.
See, it's obvious they're only partially listening to Nathan, because they're talking, Billboard Chris is talking to the other guy, right? That's a very safe assumption. So maybe they can listen to Nathan out of one ear, but odds are they're gossiping about Nathan right now. This guy's crazy.
Is gender transition a matter of health?
Maybe not, because I think that there are also sort of, it depends how you characterize health, kind of, right? Because I can see health as being characterized as things that will...
See, now, I disagree with almost everything Nathan's saying here. Of course it's a health issue. Mental health, sometimes physical health. But you can't let you get riled up.
Harm people's ability to flourish, or health even being considered as like preference things, or maybe...
So Nathan's purposely doing the philosophical thing. He's depends what you mean by this.
You'd argue mental health, like they'll suffer. It's difficult.
Okay, sex transitions, and I understand that's a problem, that term, yes. Let's just go there for a second. Sex transitions under the age of 18 harm children's mental health. Move.
Nobody moves.
You can stay where you want. You don't have to.
But Peter should have said can harm people. And then I think Nathan would have moved.
Move. Okay. So.
See, I know Nathan. Nathan is he's a detailed-oriented personality type. So if you don't phrase the question in the perfect way, he's going to stick on that neutral, because it all depends what you mean by this.
What is your response to what he said? He's unsure that children can consent to puberty blockers. What do you have to say to him?
Well, there are many issues to do with this. I'll bring up one issue.
Oh, Everett, he says, my brother just introduced me to your channel. He's a massive fan, advanced degrees in science, and an atheist. I'm a devout Christian with a love for apologetics. That, Everett, that's a great thing you said there. I mean, you are triggering my dopamine here. So I'm gonna postpone this, and I'm gonna bring up a link, and all you have to do is press it, and I'll talk to you.
That has been admitted by the president of WPATH. So WPATH is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. The president is a man named Marcy Bowers, who admitted in a Zoom call last year, I've tweeted out the video of this all the time, that literally none of the boys who started on puberty blockers at what is called Tanner stage 2, so this is the beginning of puberty. For girls, this is when their breasts first start to form. It's probably 2 years before they've had their periods. So these kids are all going to be like 9, 10, 11, 12, right? None of the boys, as adults, have been able to have an orgasm. So we're talking about putting these boys on these drugs when they're 11 or 12. They don't even understand what the concept of an orgasm is. None of them have ever had any sexual experience. And now you're destroying their future adult sexual function. It's literally impossible for a child to understand what they're signing up for.
Hey, for some boys, removing all chance of orgasms is doing them a favor.
These are just little kids. In many cases, when they start on puberty blockers, they still believe in Santa Claus. And now we're telling them they can throw away their fertility and sexual...
Wow, Everett was serious. No, he's not. This is not Everett. Everett, are you fat ass dogs? No.
Sexual function, they can't possibly understand it.
Do you agree with what? Did you hear what he said?
Yeah,
Do you agree?
I agree strongly.
You strongly agree with what he said. What about that? Can children, I just want to make sure. So if children go on puberty blockers, the likelihood that they'll have an orgasm when they get older is small. Is that correct?
Yes, Marcy Bowers said virtually none.
Virtually not.
That's right. So these puberty blockers combined with the cross-sex hormones, which they always go on to as well, are sterilizing children. And then you get these boys with micropenises when they're adults. And the final step in the final step in this whole procedure is to do bottom surgery, is what they call it. This is the euphemism. This is where they castrate a boy, slice open his penis, and invert it to form what's called a neo-vagina. But because the penis never grew, there's not enough tissue to do the surgery. So, for example, in the case of Jazz Jennings, where there's a reality show that's been going on for a decade, showing this boy's transition since he was a little child, they did this surgery on him when he was 17, but he had a micropenis. So what did they do? They cut out some of his peritoneum, his stomach lining, to form the interior walls of his
By the way, this is all true. A lot of it was on video.
Vagina. And of course, he's never experienced any sexual function whatsoever, and he never will.
Can you repeat back some of the claims that he made for why he's standing on that line?
Yeah, sure.
See, this is the good part of Spectrum SE, right? Repeat back what the other person who disagrees with you has said.
One of them was that when people undergo certain forms of treatment, if they later detransition, or even if they continue through with transitioning, they're infertile and unable to experience orgasms. That was one of them. And then that last one that you said, I'm not sure what the overall point was, but I think it was just that, like, the way that the surgery is performed is very damaging and bad. Is that right? Or is that probably the last one?
Yeah, it's a guarantee, of course, that they'll never have any sexual function. And there are all sorts of medical complications with this. One child died. And in the first study that was ever done in the Netherlands into this whole practice, where they first started giving puberty blockers, one of the children in that study died. Several others were lost to follow-up, and yet they still declared this study a wild success, and it's what formed the foundation of so-called gender-affirming care, which we should more accurately call childhood sex changes. This erroneous study is what formed the foundation of this going on all over the West, yet they've never been able to replicate the so-called success of that study.
But even that idea of a sex change they're not really changing someone's sex.
Of course you can't change anyone's sex. So this is just child mutilation and sterilization is what it is.
Do you agree with him?
Yeah, it's completely impossible to change sex. A male's body develops to produce the sperm cell. It should, could, would, does, did, or will produce that sperm cell. In some cases, it doesn't, due to various reasons. And likewise, for the female with the egg cell, their bodies develop down these pathways, and in literally 99 whatever percent of cases, that is the standard. The standard pathways they progress downwards.
Okay. It is possible, here's a new claim, it is possible for people to change their sex. Move.
So they all agree on this one.
Why do you disagree?
Sex is typically understood as a term used in biology. Biologists haven't changed their use of that term, and it's not something that people can change in biology. It's something that they're kind of born with. There's still some complicated cases, but they're fringe cases.
So how come you're on the disagree and not on the strongly disagree?
Because I'm not an essentialist about language. I think biologists could change the way that they use the term, but currently they haven't. But in principle, they could.
So if you change the way a term is used, you change the biological reality?
Well, the biological reality, in my view, is the way that biologists talk about the subject, right? So it wouldn't change the way the world is, the alleged referent of the terms, but it would certainly change.
See, Billboard Chris and Nathan are agreed here, but Nathan's being a little crafty here. He's trying to go to Billboard Chris.
Change the way that we understand biology.
New claim. Most people understand what's involved in a sex transition. Move.
That's a tough one.
Most people understand what's involved in a sex transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say strongly disagree.
I'll go neutral.
I'm a little surprised. Why are you neutral?
I think a lot of people do understand what's involved in this today. I think there's been an amazing campaign from people all around the world to raise awareness about this. And when I'm on the street having these conversations, and I've had about 20,000 of these conversations today versus 3 years ago, it's wildly different. I get fist bumps and high fives all the time. A lot of people now understand what puberty blockers are. They might have just a basic knowledge of this. They don't have great knowledge of it. But a ton of people now, I'd say, at least half the population have understanding that children are receiving puberty blockers and hormones and that it's wrong.
Yeah, they're receiving it, but do they know the details of it? Probably not.
Why are you on the disagree line?
I think that most people are still massively in the dark about this. Chris talks to way more people than I do on a daily basis, no doubt, and online and on the streets. In my daily experience, most people don't have any recognition of the issue. They couldn't tell you the difference between some of the basic concepts. They couldn't differentiate the different aspects of it. So I don't think that awareness about it has been raised to any majorly significant degree amongst what you might call the normie population.
Okay.
I'm torn between slightly disagree and neutral, to be honest, but
You can move if you want.
Adam, are you Everett?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I thought you were somebody else with two different names, but okay. So you're the guy with a brother who's an atheist who is a Christian into apologetics.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. I need to put my phone up.
Okay. Did you want to show your face?
No, and if I would prefer just to go by my screen name. When we're talking just Everett.
Okay, Everett.
That's all right.
Yeah, we can do that.
What is your? I don't even know your name. I just subscribed to your channel because he's.
Yeah, my name's Doug.
Doug. All right.
Past tense of dig. That way you'll never forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're born and raised in Arkansas, and both sides of my family are from there in northern Louisiana.
I'm sorry.
We grew up. Yeah, it's its own little world, but we grew up in a holiness Pentecostal tradition, and
ooh, Pentecostal.
Yeah, the UPC, so Pentecostal of Pentecostal. So, he went to college, got a bachelor's in, I think, biology. Then he's got a PhD in molecular biology.
Oh, wow.
He runs a cancer research lab. He's very, very intelligent, very educated. I'm probably his biggest fan. He's a year younger than me. I'm 43. but he,
But he's going to hell.
yeah, I know it's awful. um, so, his respect, his level of respect, and the way he, as far as treating people of opposing views of religion and stuff, because our family's in it, and and most of them are like, it's 99% emotion, honestly, and I'm kind of an iconoclast in our circles. So,
Would you just admit that it's 90% emotion, believing?
no, 99.
Wow. Okay. Go
Yeah.
on.
Should it be that way? No, I don't think that's what the Bible teaches. I don't think that God wants us to blind. I think He accepts sincere doubt more than He accepts blind faith, and I think it's demonstrated in the Bible. People testing Him and questioning Him, and the tradition, like I said, we grew up in is extremely emotional, and at times proud of our lack of education, because we've got the Spirit, so we don't need.
Okay, so your brother is very rational, logical type guy. Doesn't
Super
like
conservative.
super conservative.
Social, and most social. Yeah, Second Amendment, First Amendment, but also.
Oh, he's like me. I'm a conservative atheist too.
I think that's what drew him to you, and why he thought I would dig it.
Yeah.
So, real. He's been on a few different interview shows, or podcasts like yours, and he's just really good. But we agree on everything except one big issue about God, and that's God.
Well, probably
value.
more than that. You disagree
Yeah.
not only on God, but the most important part's about Jesus, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Because he could believe in God, but if it's not the Christian God, then what good is it to gain a different theism but lose your soul?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm against prayer in schools. And all these mouth-breathing booger eater Christians, they think, well, they're gonna get prayer in school. Well, are you gonna pray to the Trinity or the one? Are you gonna pray a Baptist prayer or Presbyterian or Pentecostal? Like, you can't even. There's a Emo Phillips, who I'm not a big fan of comedy-wise, but
I know him.
He's got a huge. He's very talented. I just can't take his voice, but he's extremely sharp, and he's got a funny joke about religion. And I think it was, years ago voted the funniest joke of the year, or funniest joke ever. And you should look at it. It goes back to what you were just saying about not believing in Jesus. It's the Emo Phillips religion joke, and it's so brilliant, man. It's like,
yeah.
So
well, let me focus this conversation. If
I'm Southern and we ramble, and I just moved to Arizona, so I discovered medicinal THC, and I might have taken a gummy, but I actually live in Sonoyta, Arizona.
Oh, we're not too far away from each other then.
Yeah, I think you said you're in Phoenix or Tucson or something.
Yeah, I'm in Tucson area. But let me ask you this: do you want your atheist brother to become a Christian?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. May I ask why? What's the primary reason?
To like the abstract macro view would be to be in a relationship with Jesus Christ, of course. Now, or do you mean what are the end result of that?
Yeah, like I'm going to ask.
Eternal salvation, and before that, whatever benefits the Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ would give you.
So, okay, why do you want your brother to have eternal salvation?
I think it's better than the alternative.
Which is?
Hell.
Okay. So the main issue for you is you don't want your brother to go to hell.
Yeah, I'd say so. But it's not just there's facets to that.
So let's say I was God's ambassador and I knew the truth, and I told you right now the truth that there is no hell, that everybody who dies, they'll either go to heaven if they're a Christian, or they'll be just obliterated, just poof, they're gone.
Yeah.
They won't experience hell. Would you still be so adamant about your brother becoming a Christian?
That's a good question. I think so, because I'm probably one of the few that doesn't believe hell's eternal. I think hell's eternal. I don't think torment's eternal.
But I'm saying there's none of that.
Yeah, none of that. So I would still want him to become a Christian.
Because just
With
so
as-
you
with
guys
as much
can talk in
fervency.
heaven for eternity?
Well, it's not just that. It's for his own benefit. If I think it's good enough for me to pursue, then I would want to convince others too. You
But
know?
he'll be gone. Like God told
Right.
me that there is no hell. He'll just poof, he's gone. He's not going to miss you.
Sure. So
Are you going to miss him?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because you're in heaven. You're happy.
Yeah, right. I don't.
Not a tear will be shed in heaven, right?
Now, are you saying as an ambassador of God that there's poof, like after you die, there's either nothingness or heaven? Are you saying that's the only benefit to it?
I'm just saying, as an ambassador for God, that your brother
Sure.
is not going to experience any pain, any turmoil, any loneliness, any despair. When he dies, that'll be it.
Oh,
then-
the angel just tells me that, but I not think that would be good enough, or that would be an okay outcome.
Well, he doesn't currently believe, right? So, and you
Correct.
want him to be a Christian so he can go to heaven. And I'm asking you now, if there is no hell, would you be less worried about your brother? Would you want him to? Would you be just as strong for him to become a Christian as you are now?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe that. See, you got me. We grew up in fear, being used as a motivator more than grace or love or kindness.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a church where our youth pastor told us that since babies were aborted, abortion's a sin. Babies were a participant in that sin and never had a chance to repent. So there's babies in hell that were aborted. So that's the kind of fear I grew up with. So I don't think that's what was intended.
Okay, so you're against that fear thing. It should be
Yeah,
more about the
absolutely.
hope and the reward. Why do you think?
Yeah, and I think.
What do you
Oh, go
think
ahead.
is the biggest reason why your brother currently doesn't believe?
Um,
Do you think it's an emotional reason or lack of evidence reason, or what's holding him back?
I think it's probably you can't, Christians do it, but they're idiots. You can't blame a science education because some of the greatest scientists were devout Christians.
Right.
So science is not inherently ungodly. I think it's the different side of the same coin, religion. And I mean, if we're Christians, we should glorify in science because it would reveal more of our Creator. So I can't blame his scientific education. I think it's the same as why I'm a believer. It's probably a bunch of stuff. I don't think there's any one.
Okay, well,
thing
let me
that-
ask the same question a different way. What do you think would have to happen for your brother to become a Christian?
God would have to reveal himself in such a way that it would convince my brother.
There you go. And until that day, you just have to wait.
And we just wait. It's not my responsibility.
Yeah, it's not your responsibility.
I'm not stressing about it. Like he knows the Bible. He grew up with it. That I was up in front of a bunch of youth at a convention once, and I got kicked out of the panel discussion because it was a bunch of preachers' kids and then me for some reason. And the question was, how do you know God exists? And everybody had their little trite answer. And I told them, well, I just prayed, and whichever God answered me is the one I serve. Like I've
That's what
prayed
you
to
said?
Satan. Yeah, I've prayed to Satan. I've prayed to Buddha, Allah, whoever. And Jesus is the one that answered my prayers and revealed them.
Oh,
Which did
this
not
is
go
good.
over well with
Well,
it
no,
didn't
I
go over well.
I like that.
But point being is, he's a big God, and either all right. If God exists, then he either cares about you or he doesn't. If he doesn't care about you, then he's not going to care enough to reveal himself to you. But if he does care enough about you, then he's going to reveal himself to you. That's
Okay.
my philosophy. It's not my job to convince people.
Right. I understand that. But you said that you prayed to various gods and only Jesus answered?
Yeah,
Can you
not audibly.
How did that happen? What do you
Just-
mean he answered?
Needing things in my life, help with things in my life, clarity, doors opening, doors shutting, direction. It wasn't a single ritualistic prayer.
Okay, besides Satan, who else did you pray to?
Well, I prayed to Buddha too, which is kind of pointless, but I was young at the time. I prayed to Allah, and Jesus and Satan. I don't know if I said Satan.
Okay, let's say someone prayed to Buddha and they got clarity in their life over the next month. Doors started to open for them the next month. Does that mean Buddha, the God, is real?
No, it could be confirmation bias.
Okay, how did you eliminate confirmation bias with yourself, with Jesus?
It just kept testing it, kept comparing it to the Bible. Like I said, continued the prayer, continued. I don't go in for this, asking for signs or miracles.
But if someone who prays to Buddha kept testing it, kept comparing it to the Hindu, oh no, you said Buddha, which is not really a God, but anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I was young.
Let's choose Allah. Sure. Someone keeps praying to Allah. They keep comparing it to the Quran, and they just continue to get confirmation. Does that mean the God of Islam is true and right?
No, I also think that that it's borne out in evidence through the Bible.
Okay, now you notice what just happened here.
Sure.
You shifted from an experience of clarity, experience of doors opening, to now something more evidentiary, like the evidence of the Bible, right?
Right, that's what I was saying. I kept pursuing it. It's been 30 years, 25 years, so that was the initial thing, is like, okay, this seems like this deity's at least listening to me. So I'm going to focus and study the Bible. I'm a big fan of, like,
okay, what about the Bible made you think that Christianity, the core propositions, were true?
You mean just as far like the entire Bible, or the Gospels, or his teachings?
Well, let me ask you this. Is it possible for you that the Bible could exist exactly as it exists today and yet Christianity be false?
Sure.
Okay. So how did you determine that Christianity is actually true, given that the Bible could exist exactly as we see it today and Christianity could be false? What did you find out?
The spiritual aspect of it, and the communion with God, which obviously I'm convinced is genuine.
Can you be more specific? What spiritual aspect?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't want to assume your religious background, but whenever the Holy Ghost is indwelling, once you're a member of the body of Christ, the church, the daily operation of the Holy Ghost in your life.
Okay, what is the Holy Ghost, and how did you find out about it?
The Bible, and I know the concept of circular reasoning.
Yeah.
I've told you, I watched a bunch of you guys, and I love y'all. And I'm not at my best right now. I'm not even at my best when I'm not ungummied, and I know I'm kind of stumbling and wasting your time probably, but
well, let's cut to the chase. You do realize that having some type of emotional experience that some people call spiritual, like even a very deep experience that people have, doesn't mean that what they attribute it to is correct.
Correct, absolutely. And we like to use that argument against Mormons with their burning in the bosom.
Exactly. So how did you determine that your spiritual experience was correct, that your attribution was correct?
I don't think there was a single one moment. It's just I became and become more convinced every day. But it also is the reason why, to me, this is an important issue, probably the most important issue.
Oops. It
would behoove me to study all sides of it and to listen respectfully to you. I was a huge fan of Hitch in some ways, not all of them, but
I think you believe because you believe.
I think so. I think that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah. I really don't think you can pinpoint exactly why you believe. It's probably because of how you were raised. And I don't doubt for a second that you've had wonderful, amazing, deep experiences within your church, within worship services, and in your day-to-day life. You've had Probably things happen to you that I would call a coincidence, or can be explained naturalistically, but you would say no, this has to be God. We could probably go back and forth on these things, but I think what it boils down to is you believe because you just believe. And so now the question is, what do you get out of it? Is it just the eternal life, or is there something here on planet Earth that gives you something?
It gives the tangible for me is gives me peace, a spiritual strength as far as just going through life, a desire to help others. I don't think you need the Bible to help others. So, but that's what I get from it. I care about people a whole lot. I really do. And
do you think you'd care less for people if you became an atheist like your brother?
No, my brother cares for people. He's a sweetheart. Like, he's an incredible dad. No, I don't think you need.
Do you think you'd have less peace if you became an atheist?
Yeah, I would.
How so?
Because if I rejected God's working in my heart and life, then I wouldn't have that relationship with him, and that's what that and the medication gives me peace. So
medication, did you say?
Yeah.
What medication are you on?
I'm OCD and bipolar.
I see.
So I had a very good experience with church growing up, about many times not having the least amount of peace, because it was always just pray about it. And it almost cost me my life a couple times, and no one prayed harder than I did. That's why I said most of our church stuff is emotional. It's not based on fact or science or common sense.
If your brother were here, would he want you to leave Christianity?
He's never mentioned it at all.
Ask him next time you see him.
He actually texted me and said, don't go in there. Listen to him. He said, listen to him a while before. He said, he doesn't suffer fools. He said, just listen to it. Because sometimes I'm a little.
Your brother just texted you now?
Yeah, I texted him a screenshot
and said, "Get off."
Yeah. He's like, he might be texting me right now, but he said,
That's funny.
He just was like, just listen to him, get the flow, like the vibe of it and everything. No, me and my brother are best friends, and we've never tried. His girls go to church. He doesn't try to stop it. I mean,
yeah, it sounds like your brother, if he were here, he would say, "Stay a Christian."
He's amazing. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know what his handle is on here, but it might be molecular biologist. But he's on here. He watches you a ton. Yeah, and that's why we've never tried to convert either one of us at all. And
is there anything negative for you about being a Christian?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me.
Christians.
Okay, so you don't like other Christians?
Well, most of this is not a no true Scotsman's fallacy either. Most people that call themselves Christian are not really going by the rule book.
The rule book? You mean the Bible?
The Bible, yeah. There's not much love and compassion I see, or charitable behavior to others, especially the conservative party.
So love and compassion are things that are very important to you, and the reason why you're a Christian, right? One of the reasons.
I think they're important. Given my upbringing, just my family's very giving and cares about people, I probably would have a huge amount of the same desire to help people. But I think my Christian worldview raises it quite a bit, especially since we're talking eternity.
Okay. Am I allowed to cause some cognitive dissonance in you about love and compassion and Christianity?
Sure.
Would it be loving and compassionate to create a world? Now, remember before I said there was no hell, but now God just told me no, there is, and it's eternal conscious torment. It's terrible. It's separation from Him, which is nothing but despair and loneliness. No common grace, no do-overs. It's final. Do you think it's loving and compassionate for a God to create a world where He knew that people would go there?
Yeah, well, here's the trite view is his. I would have to trust that his understanding and will is infinitely more wise than mine. It might not make sense to me.
Okay, but in your finite nature,
there
do
might be
you
a better purpose for it that I don't know
do you
about.
think it's loving and compassionate to allow the creation of hell, allow the devil, allow even free will, allow anything that would lead a creation that would lead people to eternal conscious torment? Do you think that's loving and compassionate?
In my finite, no, absolutely not. But I acknowledge that maybe there's different aspects of love that I don't know about that he does.
Okay, why do you give the benefit of the doubt to this God? Like, why not just say, well, maybe this God doesn't exist?
Well, that's what I said. So sorry. That's what I mean is I've tested it and for me, it's borne out.
But yet, the concept of hell is not loving and compassionate in your mind.
In my limited understanding of the grand scheme of things, no, of course not.
And what about the things Jesus not only said, but the things Jesus did? Do you think everything Jesus did was loving and compassionate?
I think that's a micro view of the bigger question you just asked. So to me, what's a specific example?
Well, let's start with Jesus drowned babies.
Jesus drowning babies?
Jesus, as one person of the Trinity, the being God, drowned babies in the book of Genesis.
Oh, in the Exodus?
In the book of Genesis
with
the flood.
Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
That's the gummy kicking in. I don't. Like I said, I don't know. That's a horrible catastrophe. It's a horrible thing. I'm not sure why he could fit on rhinoceros, but he couldn't fit babies in the ark. But I don't know. I just don't know.
But would you say what would be more loving and compassionate for God?
Seems pretty awful to me.
Yeah, for God to drown babies or for God to just poof them out of existence instantaneously?
Well, in my own mind, I would say, well, why would you have to get rid of babies in the first place? Just I don't believe it was a worldwide flood. I think he could have fit all the babies in the ark or made a bigger ark. I don't know. I don't get it. William Lane Craig thinks it's temporary suffering, and then they're in the bosom of God. And that doesn't help. It doesn't help it go down easier.
So, given the God that you believe in has done and said things, has allowed the creation of hell, has actively killed babies and told other people to kill other people in his name. Does that cause you any cognitive dissonance with this love and compassion idea?
No, absolutely not. I just don't get it. There's stuff in the Bible I don't like. There's stuff about Christianity I don't like. I don't think hell is eternal torment, but I don't like the idea of hell even if it was for 5 minutes,
So there's something, you don't like it. You don't like the things the Bible says.
I don't like turning the other cheek.
But you do it, you turn the other cheek anyhow, and you believe it anyhow because it gives you peace.
Not always. I mean, I still ruminate on it for a while. Still want to smack somebody back, figuratively, metaphorically speaking, not actually hit somebody.
No, you can be honest. Sometimes, I don't
want to smack anybody. I'm a very big person, so I don't want to smack. I don't want to smack anybody. But it'd be nice every now and then to be like, oh look, yeah, just unleash my tongue, but
if I told you, let's say I had a crystal ball and I told you that, I don't know, 3 years from now, you're going to become an atheist like your brother, and you're going to even be more loving and compassionate to people because you're not going to view them as either with us or against us, those who walk in light, those who walk in darkness. You'll see people as just your fellow human beings on this planet.
I don't think. Just to clarify, I don't view people like that. I don't think they're either with us or against us. And that to me, the Bible says we're a sheep. You know, I'm not here to pick which one's better.
Well, hang on. I know it's not your job to pick, but Jesus himself said there's sheep and there's goats.
Yeah.
And guess where the goats go?
Hell.
Yeah. So I'm saying, imagine 3 years from now, you're an atheist and you give up all this stuff, but you still have peace.
Sure.
You still have love and compassion. Basically, the only thing left then is just the fear of not going to heaven if you're wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm not really scared of it either way.
Do you think there are atheists out there, like, well, you even admitted your brother is very compassionate, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So you know that you can be an atheist, be very loving and compassionate, and even have peace? Would you say your brother's peaceful or no?
Absolutely. I know atheists that have more Christ-like behavior than a lot of Christians I know.
Okay.
I know atheists I know homosexual atheists that are in gay marriages that have better marriage than a lot of Christians I know.
Yeah. So really, should be no fear for you to leave Christianity.
Right. I might not be a good case study though. I'm not like if God wants me to believe in the word and in Christianity, then my deal is he has to convince me, and he did. I feel like he did. If he didn't, then I'd be an atheist and there'd be nothing to worry about.
What you just said, does it matter to you whether that's true or not?
About
that he did convince you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it.
Would you want to know if that wasn't true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you want to explore if that's true or not?
That's what I do every day too, though, is test it. And I know all the lingo and jargon and fallacies, and I use those not to get into debate. I don't debate, I don't argue, but to put my own walk under the glass. I kind of use them inwardly. And maybe I just haven't had a good enough atheist argument.
So what would you said you do test it. What would a negative test look like? Like a test that would say, no, God has nothing to do with this. God didn't reveal it to me.
Yeah, and I don't mean that like a miracle happening or driving down the road and a bluebird sitting on the fence post test kind of deal. It's more of, does my life bear out the principles that I'm trying to live out of the Bible? And it does.
Okay, but do you think that's a test that is true?
You think that the results are true, or that it's a true test?
That if your life bears out the things that you value that are found in the Bible, Christianity could still be false, right?
Well, sure. Well,
okay.
With the principles being applied to my life, bearing out what the Bible says it would bear out. So if the Bible's saying if you do this, then this is bearing out, that's the evidence for me.
I see. Like I could do the things that the Bible says as well and still not be a Christian.
Absolutely.
What does being a Christian mean to you?
And first, just believing that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He came and died for our sins, rose from the dead, and that we have salvation and eternal life and all the fruits of the Spirit.
So when you test that Christianity is true, do you test that Jesus rose bodily from the dead?
Well, I test it as best it can be tested.
How can you test that?
Scholars, that's the only way I can do it. To read both sides of it and all sides of it. And I think it's not provable, but I think it's a case can be made whether it was probable or possible.
Do you think it's probable?
Yeah. I think it's both probable and possible.
Is there like something that leads you, besides just saying scholars, is there something that makes you think it's probable that a man was dead for 36 hours and then came back to life?
Yeah, just because in the mechanics of the Bible, it means that whenever that happened, that he was able to pour, he was at that point, he poured out his Spirit. And so I believe that is an example or proof outside of scholarly work.
He poured out his spirit. You mean in the past or no?
In Acts chapter 2. Because he left. He went back up to heaven, and then the Holy Ghost came into earth.
Okay, but Everett, how do you know any of that is true? How would you test that?
Well, I see the Holy Ghost working today. Sorry, hang on.
Okay, so that's why I asked, in the past or today. So basically you're back to today, which I admire, because to me, that is something way more valuable than from 2,000 years ago. Now, given that people, like you said, with the Mormons, they have the burning in the bosom, what makes you more confident that what happened today and even 2,000 years ago is just not something like that?
That's been one of the main questions. Along with, well, I'm not only a Christian because I was born a Christian, or into a Christian family. I think that's what I mean by bearing out with the rest of the Bible. Because anybody can have a burning in the bosom for any reason. Muslims have it, I'm sure. Buddhists have it in a way.
Do you go to sporting events? Like, if you ever been in a sporting stadium?
I'm not a huge sports fan, but I've been.
But let's say, who's the closest NFL team to you or NBA team? Like, one could
Phoenix,
make
I guess.
one. Oh yeah, you're in Arizona now. So the Phoenix Suns are playing right now. One could say that there could be an energy in that stadium that it's the pouring out of the Phoenix Suns God upon the people. And if you don't believe in the Phoenix Suns God, you're delusional, because the evidence is right there. Everybody in that, it's electric. You can feel it. You can sense it. You can experience it. But do we, for one second, believe that there's an actual God entity that's causing this? No, it's a bunch of people getting together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people in church that just because they feel goosebumps going down their back, it's not God, it's frisson or some magic cord. It's a human reaction.
So it sounds like you understand all this, but you just believe because you believe.
It's just the evidence. Just for me, the evidence is. I don't think any Christian should base their walk with God just on miracles burning books.
But when I ask you what your evidence is, it seems like it always comes back to this emotional feeling.
Yeah, but we can't rely on just emotion. It can't be just emotional.
I know, so give me something other than that.
Like how it's demonstrated in everyday life?
That the way you've tested it, that it's true. So you can't appeal to the Holy Spirit anymore because...
Right. I think you can do that if you take it as a holistic approach.
I don't like that word.
I've never seen so many hipsters, man.
That's a hippie word.
Yeah, it is.
Is there anything you can point to that, like earlier you mentioned scholars, but do you think scholars would say that it's a historical fact Jesus rose from the dead?
Gary Habermas does.
Well, I'm sure you can find some, but as a majority,
he's a world-class scholar, though.
Yeah, I've talked to him.
Yeah, so
did you see that?
No, I just started watching.
Okay,
I'll definitely go back and catch up.
Yeah, I had fun with him.
He's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't say scholars. I actually read their works and watch their interviews and debates and lectures, because I mean, if I'm the kind of person, if I'm wrong, I would rather look stupid for a second than like an idiot for the rest of my life.
I have something called the Flying Man that is used to basically destroy Christianity with the Gary Habermas type of evidence, because Gary Habermas is all about minimal facts, right?
Yeah.
And so I can give minimal facts for my ancestor, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He literally could fly unaided, and he flew across the Grand Canyon here in Arizona, like close. It could be 1,000 years ago. I'm not sure, and the reason why I know this is because there's a book that says he did. Do you believe it? Like,
No,
if I
of
actually
course
gave
not.
you this book that you could actually lick your finger and flip the pages, that documents 4
Do I believe
diaries.
Do I believe it now? No. Am I saying that I could not be convinced? No.
What would it take for you to? What would it take for me to convince you that my ancestor actually flew about 1,000 years ago?
A lot more than 4 diaries.
So a lot more than 4 gospels, you say?
Yeah. Well, I said diaries, but gospels.
Yeah.
I knew what you were alluding to.
But how about an eyewitness account that says that he flew in front of 500 and then flew in front of 12 of his followers and then flew finally to the author of the book?
That would be pretty incredible.
Really?
That
You
would
believe
be,
it then?
That would be not then, but it's not something I would kick to the curb.
Okay, but you wouldn't believe it, right?
Not initially. I'm not saying I couldn't be convinced either.
I know. Okay, if you don't believe that my ancestor flew, why do you believe Jesus rose from the dead?
Because all right, so why he rose from the dead is, like I said, based on the people smarter and more educated than me and the arguments that they've laid out. Also, that combined with the fact of, he said when he leaves or when he resurrects and goes to heaven, he would send the Holy Spirit, and we see it working today.
Remember, I said we already put the Holy Spirit on the shelf, remember?
You can't really do that, though.
Well, no, you yourself have done it because you've admitted, you understand this. You understood that if you can't use it for Mormonism, you can't use it for Christianity. And you yourself have said many times in the last half hour that we shouldn't base it on feelings and emotions and burning of the bosom and just the feeling of...
Not solely. But you can't also discount it either, because a lot of different things might make you feel that burning in the bosom.
Right.
What's to say in person A's burning in the bosom was pure emotion, but person B was actually the Holy Spirit.
What is more likely to you, that when someone feels some type of, I'll call it energy within their body, some warmth or some feeling of contentment or peace, what's more likely to you?
Dopamine.
Out of 7-8 billion people on the planet, is it more likely that's Jesus causing it or something else?
Dopamine. I think it's absolutely dopamine.
Okay, so it's more like
in most cases.
And is it more likely for you that it's dopamine?
I've never felt like a physical reaction, so I'm not saying I've felt physical. It's a spiritual component to it. I've never felt like a burning in my bosom or a warmth.
What did you feel then?
It's inexplicable.
It's inexplicable.
Other than saying it's the Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit. It would be to me, in my small capacity to explain, like trying to explain different colors to someone blind from birth. There's no point of reference for each other.
Do you speak in tongues?
I have, yeah. I think 99% of speaking in tongues is emotional hooey too.
How do you tell the difference between the 1% and the 99?
It's really not my job to. But if you're speaking in tongues, it's an indicator, according to the Bible, that you have the Holy Ghost living in your life.
No, wait a minute. You said that you think 99% of it's Huey.
Hooey, yeah.
Huey, not Huey Lewis. Why do you think it's Huey?
Because if it was actually the Holy Ghost in their heart and life, then they would bear fruits of it. And if these people are never bearing fruits of God in their life, but they're speaking in tongues, it can only be emotion.
You don't think God can use people who are very sinful?
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe it is real.
That's why I said 99%.
No, maybe it's 50-50. Who knows?
It could be, yeah. It could be. It might just be the cynic in me.
Like, doesn't God use the lowest of the low, the people who you would least expect?
You are talking to the lowest of the low that is in ministry, so...
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's not a character assassination. It's just there's other evidence than speaking in tongues.
So maybe
Speaking
the
in tongues-
people who show zero fruit in their life, those are the people God's most likely to give the gift of speaking in tongues to.
It's not a criteria to get it. They need it the most. But how are we going to say who's the worst of the worst?
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go. This was an enjoyable conversation.
I'm glad my brother introduced me to you. I really enjoy your stuff I've seen so far.
Yeah, go watch me have fun with Gary Habermas. I tied half my brain behind my back when I talked to him.
All right, Mr. Limbaugh.
See ya.
Thank you.
You know he's over 40 when he catches that reference right away. Yeah. Aberrant. Is that his name? He believes because he believes. And the thing is, he understands everything I said. He understands it's not a good method to believe something's true based on these types of experiences. Wonder what his brother thinks right now. I bet you anything his brother would say. I want my brother to stay a Christian. He needs this.
Oh, hello.
Hi, you're my best buddy?
Yes, every time I'm your best buddy.
You
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're loud and clear. I can show your face, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fine. Or not, of course. I guess some people would be quick to say no.
I like that. I'm beautiful. Why wouldn't you want to show my
Yeah,
face?
look at me.
Oh, you got
So I, atheist, think that atheism can provide a meaning, just to cut to the chase.
I agree with you. But
Oh.
But I would say not ultimate meaning.
So, okay, here's my little thing, and I just want to test it out on you, just to see what you think. Okay?
Okay.
With meaning and atheism. Just as a side note, fundamentally, I actually don't know why meaning and purpose matter, but going into it, just saying that it does have it. I think that for me, a way that like an atheist could kind of pull that in is if you just look at the fact that you desire meaning, then it should be to find meaning is your meaning. I know it sounds a little redundant, but like it kind of basically, to me, that runs into science and discovery, is that if you desire meaning, then there could be meaning out there. And if you believe that meaning could be out there, then doesn't it make sense for your meaning to be to explore the universe, explore your world, explore everything to see where meaning is, if it's there. And I feel like that would be the meaning.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Searching for meaning in itself is meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But as an atheist, I would say to theists, especially Christians, Muslims, Jews, that it's okay to concede that there is no ultimate meaning and purpose, because I use the word ultimate there. And when they hear that word, they think of eternity. So I think it's important for atheists to concede that to them. It makes them feel good. And I'm all about making, I'm all for making people feel good and warm and fuzzy inside. So, it's a bit of a shock factor if you just admit that. Yeah, there's no ultimate meaning, purpose to the universe. I agree with Dawkins, but what they mean is like eternal wise, because atheists don't believe that in an afterlife. Most of them don't. True atheists don't.
Most of them. Yeah, those fake atheists out there.
Flag waving phony atheists.
Well, I honestly think I could like do you one up in that like I don't think that meaning and purpose in any sense is like something that matters or exists, I guess is the thing. I think that like I don't know, this is kind of listening to Sam Harris and not understanding what he's saying and then parroting it, so falling down a chain. But
So what you're really saying
he
is you
talks
have
a
no
lot
thoughts of your own.
basically, yeah. I just know where they came from, so it feels like it's harder to lie. So I think that he talks about how like free will doesn't even make sense as a concept, and I'm pretty sure you've talked about that yourself. How like you don't think free will exists, but on the same token, that like meaning and purpose are also a similar illusion that fundamentally don't really make sense in the same way, and that you can pretty much just dismiss it as a distraction. And I was wondering what you think about that.
I think pragmatically, you see people fall apart when they don't have traditions and a strong identity of who they are. We're seeing this in the United States right now with young people. Suicide rates, just in general, not just with young people, but older people too. If they don't have a clear goal, instead of saying, let's say purpose, change it to goal. I do think it hurts people's productivity, their general state of happiness in life. And so this is part of the reason why I'm conservative too, is because I value those things, because I think it's, in the long run, it's better for society to acknowledge that there is value in these traditions, and the way that things have been done in the past have stood the test of time for a reason. Religion being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, religion serves a purpose.
I think it does serve a purpose. Or did, if at least survived. And if it did like absolutely nothing, it might be like a what's it called? Like a vestigial appendage.
Yeah.
That's just attached to things. But the fact that it's everywhere and it's associated with everything, I doubt that that's the case. But I think that, I agree with you that those things probably are filling something that needs to be like, just because we're observing things and studying things doesn't mean we know everything that we need. We're just more like picking up what we can sense that we need. But I still think that like, and this kind of ties a little bit more into like, not necessarily conservative liberal, but more like I don't know, federalist, anti-federalist. But I would love to see more within the states to just have a little more. I don't know. I don't even know if they don't have this necessarily, but I would just love to see some more like cultural experimentation to kind of like see what if there's something that people could like invent within a community that has like zero association with religion or zero association with like the current understanding of like meaning and purpose. I mean, like Zen Buddhists and stuff like that, meaning and purpose mean nothing, but they're also not very ambitious. They don't really produce a lot. I don't see any like Buddhists on the moon, but maybe there are. I mean, I think balancing ambition and what is it called? Mindfulness is the way to go about kind of preventing like a mental breakdown without having some sort of like rigid structure in your life where you don't have to think for yourself.
Well, I would say like traditional religion in the United States is going down dramatically, and it's just being replaced with other stuff, like what I call wokeism, even secular humanism, sports teams. It's just people, they just need something to rally around. A community of people saying, I strongly believe in this. Oh, you do too? We can be friends. And so when people leave religion, they need to find something like that.
So what do you
Except
think
for me,
about
for some reason I'm different.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You're just a main character. Everyone else is just a robot or NPC. That's what
I'm like the
NPCs
third party observer. Like, I'm observing the humans, and it make me chuckle.
Oh, so you've just disassociated so hard. You've kind of left it.
Yes, yeah.
But what I was asking was the Enlightenment period, like 1700s or whatever, where they kind of just switched to deism. I was like looking into like that whole like, oh, America was founded on Judeo-Christian values, and I was like, okay, let's see if this is true. And I was like looking into it, and what I'm seeing is that mostly just deism. It doesn't seem like Christianity inherently was like a strong factor in like America, the constitutional founding part of it. It's the Bible was quoted, but typically like not as like a foundational text, and was constantly fought against. And I think that a lot of what they were talking about and like just the concept of a deity seemed to be like the main thing and nothing else. It didn't seem like, outside of obviously like interactions and like manners and things like that. Like I honestly think that like manners at the dinner table is similar to religion in the way where it's like, oh, have your fork this way, like don't eat with like your mouth full and don't burp at the table and stuff like that. I'm sure there's like some like sensory things that led to that, but I think that also just seeing someone with manners is sufficient to be like, oh, we're on the same team. You had the same upbringing as me, so you have the same little mannerisms that I can trust, and therefore we can kind of be a little more cohesive. No religion involved. It's just more of like having conversational ways and such like that that you can kind of decipher who's enemy and friend. I think that's more what leads to turmoil is like, can I trust you? Less, do we have the same, religion?
Yeah. Yeah, when you say, can I trust you? Like, to me, the main thing is, are you going to kill me or not?
Mhm.
Yeah, but and as long as you don't
take my
hurt,
shoes or whatever.
yeah, as long as you, yeah, leave me and my private property alone. Yeah, believe whatever you want to believe. Anything else?
Well, yeah, I guess that's it. I just wanted to test out those couple different things. A little bit of conflict within them, but I was
Doesn't
curious
sound like
what
we
your
disagree
thoughts
on
were.
much.
No, but I would also call myself left leaning and not conservative. So
Oh,
even though we
okay.
don't disagree, I think we're.
But
I mean, I
you,
don't know. Maybe I'm like measuring the gradient this way, and you're measuring it that way, and
no,
then
no.
we're actually in the same spot.
But the thing is, this is something I don't think a lot of people. He might have heard me say this, but they either don't believe me or don't fully believe me. I see value in left-leaning people, just like I hope people on the left see value in right-leaning people. Like
Oh,
we,
absolutely. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. I don't want to interrupt, but like I've just been thinking a lot about like people. I don't want to rant too hard, but people always think like, I wish people were like me. I wish people were like my identity. But I love the idea that like that within evolution, we're not all evolving towards like one homogeneous thing and then we're just diversifying and then finding out which one's best. I think that part of our evolution is the fact that there's diversity in how we think and
yeah,
how we interact. I think that humans have evolved with other humans in mind, not I mean in mind, in the system. And so I think that we always want to overthrow the counterbalance that appears, but the counterbalance always comes back. And I think that like inherently in our systems, we want to counteract someone because that's the best way for us to find like truth. But
yeah.
obviously, because we're not thinking that like monkeys, we're just thinking like, oh yeah, kill this guy. So it's like it's kind of like a conflict of doesn't quite work, but does kind of work. So I think that
Same
at
holds
least
true
as a
for men and
left-leaning person,
women.
I love conflict.
Like not just on the political aisle, but there's a reason why men and women on the spectrum, on average, are they think differently.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a reason why
I
you
think
and
that
I
that
get
feminine
aroused.
masculine bell curve.
You're heterosexual.
Am
You
I
look,
heterosexual?
you
Yeah.
look like a heterosexual. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's the shirt, isn't it?
No, it's more the couch behind you.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason that we men get more attracted based visually, and women are more
Mhm.
either tactile or hearing, and so it makes us kind of have to work a little bit more to get a woman. Like, can you imagine if every woman was like the typical man? I mean, we'd be like bunnies.
We'd
I
have a lot
mean,
of kids.
yeah.
I think that would be very good for populations, numbers at least. If that was the case. I'm personally, I believe in the whole like the double bell curve thing of like masculine, feminine, where it's like, I mean, that's even like scatterplot stuff, but like I feel like you can see feminine traits in men and masculine traits in women, and that's sort of mixed bag, but more often than not, you will see more masculine traits in men and more feminine traits in women. But
Yep.
I think that there is a big wish wash inside of there. I think you're a hyper masculine man, though, Doug. I would say you're number one. You're the platonic
Well, you
ideal
know
of a
what? You
man.
say that kind of tongue in cheek, but I got a piece of paper. I'm not joking. I
Mhm.
could. I think it's there.
You could tear it in half.
I could show you my T count, my
Your T
testosterone
count?
count.
Oh, I think I remember you talking
Yeah,
about
I
that.
had it tested. It must be 8 years ago by now, but
Hmm.
I was in the 0.001 percentile. Like I had more testosterone than the average 18-year-old when I was in my early 40s. And I want to go back to see if that's true. Like to see if my testosterone count's still high. Because when I had it tested the first time,
Oh, it's higher.
they called me immediately and said, you need to come to the clinic to discuss these results. But they wouldn't say why. And then when I got to the clinic, I opened the doors and there was a bunch of nurses in there. They just like all parted to each side and just stared at me as I walked through. And then the doctor told me about my T count. It was just off the charts, and they, yeah.
You parted the nurses like
I
Moses.
I parted the White Sea.
Yeah. Well, I believe it. I think so. I think you know, it just makes sense.
I'm glad you're like me in the sense that we can value each other's differences, and yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for
Absolutely
calling. I got some
Of course,
fat
yeah,
ass
looks like
dog who
someone's
wants
coming
it. Yeah, he wants in. It'll be a
Fantastic.
disaster.
All right, well, good talking with you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on?
What we've already talked before. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
Yeah, actually, there's something I wanted to know about you.
Okay.
All right, what is your opinion on transgenderism? What's your opinion on the whole trans issue? I want to know your solid opinion on it.
I've discussed this at length so many times.
I've never discussed it with you. Okay. Can I give you my small? Can I give you a small?
I can answer your question. That's fine. I'm gonna just try to
Okay.
do it as brief as possible. What's my opinion on transgenderism? Can you be more specific?
Like, do you accept it? Do you think it's normal? What's up?
The whole idea of people experiencing stuff that causes them bad feelings, I think is real. But do I believe there's any scientific evidence to say that we can know and verify that someone is indeed born in the wrong body? That's complete bullcrap. Currently.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay.
I kind of got a little bit of a more darker view on it than most people, most conservatives. It's not like
And
bad,
you're dying to
bad.
share it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it. I don't believe trans people should exist. Point blank.
What do you mean by should not exist?
I believe there should.
Okay,
only
hang
be
on.
two
Before you answer,
genders.
before you answer, if I were Matt Dillahunty, I'd start swearing at you and hang up. But I'm not Matt Dillahunty. What I do is,
I know.
I'm smarter than Matt Dillahunty. No, sorry, he's a smart guy too. But I would say that I'm less emotional than him. So I can hear a person like you say that and not get triggered because I'll just ask a clarifying question. Are you saying you want transgender people killed by the state?
No.
See, I didn't think so. Okay, go. What did you mean by it?
No. What did I mean by it? I think we gotta stop. We gotta stop putting this delusion in people's head that they are the opposite gender because it's not true. It's physically not true. Biologically, you still have the same biological what do you call chromosomes as a male? Okay, male and females have different chromosomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I'm for the rest of this conversation, I'm going to go woke. Okay, just for fun.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go woke.
Okay, but yeah, I just don't believe biologically you could change your chromosomes. It's just biologically
Nobody's saying,
impossible.
as a woke person, I can speak for other woke people. Nobody's saying that they do change their chromosomes.
No, I know they can't because they can't. It's impossible.
So what are you talking about then?
What am I talking about? I'm saying it's impossible for you to switch genders, even biologically or physically. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Me as a woke person, you do understand I define gender as this social construct, right?
As a social construct, I can understand why.
That there's a distribution of masculinities and femininities, and if someone feels that they're more masculine as a woman, as a biological female, that they can identify as a woman. It's a social construct. We're not saying that they're actually a female or a male opposite what they were born in.
Then why are these transgenders allowed in male sport and female sports, man? Why are these males competing in female sports if they're not accepting it?
Okay, you bring up a great point, but as a woke person, if the governing bodies decide that it is still fair, I say why not?
But it's not, though. I mean, you can go to many doctors and physicians, and they'll tell you this is physically not fair for a man to compete against a woman, because physically a man is stronger, okay, and physically men are faster. That's respect.
Yes, on average, you're right. But as a woke person, I would say to you that we need to look at each individual case. And if, let's say, you take steps like blocking testosterone or lowering testosterone or adding estrogen to a male, you can make it fair. So why do you want to deprive someone of an opportunity to compete against women when it's still fair, when no one's
Because
harmed?
they're depriving those women of their accomplishments. Real women.
It is very
women
rare.
That were born at birth.
It is very rare for a trans woman to actually win.
Leah Thompson?
There's one exception. I give that to, yes.
Yeah, Leah Thompson.
But are you going to destroy all opportunity for trans women to go in women's sports because of this one example?
Well, why? Well, how about putting them in their own league? Is that fair?
You want a trans league?
Yeah.
But why would you exclude trans women that identify as women and just put them in? Like you're basically treating them like the Special Olympics then.
I mean, if you put it that way, dude, I mean, it's not really, because if you look at it, men we don't put men and women against each other in the Olympics. I mean, you don't see men and women fighting in the wrestling. I mean, you don't see men and women jousting and all that.
Okay, like what if me as a woke person told you that I myself agree with you that I do not think trans women should go into certain sports like, I don't know, like wrestling or whatever, because just lowering testosterone doesn't do it. But are you going to sit there and tell me with a straight face that you're going to ban all trans women from all sports?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not fair.
What about the mental anguish that the trans people go through from being excluded?
A pedophile can make that same argument about going in the women's bathrooms.
So now you're equating being trans to being a pedophile.
No. I'm just trying to say that if I'm a pedophile, I can make that same argument and say, "Oh, this is not fair. Why am I not allowed in the girls' bathrooms?" I mean, come on, man. There's got to be common sense when it comes to certain subjects like this. Like men are men, girls are girls. There's a reason that we have bathroom signs. And there's a reason we separate men and women in prison. What?
Define man for me.
Define a man. A person that is born with male genitals, specifically a penis.
Okay, if a person's born without a penis but has XY chromosome, are they a man?
Yeah, I mean, there's birth defects.
It's not that easy, is it?
Are you talking birth defects, like having a?
Yeah, I'm talking about intersex. Like you make it sound so simple that we know who a man is. If you're born with a penis, you're a man. But we know scientifically that there are men without penises born.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you're right. But I'm not saying those men are going out pretending to be women and competing against other women and taking away their opportunities. That's
good.
My
Answer.
Opinion, man.
No. Hey, and I want to tell you, your sentiment, I agree with. I was just having fun playing the woke part.
Okay. But what do you, I mean, my view may be a little bit extreme. However, I think it's necessary that, we bring logic back to our society, man.
Yeah, like I agree with you that we should not play into a delusion. Yeah, so if someone says I am a man, and if there's very, very few people, but I have actually heard some that will actually say more than just as a social construct, but that as they were born biologically with a uterus and a vagina, or whatever, and they still say I'm a man, even chromosomally. Like we can't indulge that delusion.
No. I'm sorry. Look, I just believe there's men and women, okay? And I just think we need to keep that construct. I mean, there were no transgenders 100 years ago.
Well, some people would disagree with that, and they would go back to, well, even yeah, there's different cultures, and they'll even go to people in the Orient. Oh, I can't say that word. People in Thailand say that, we've got lady boys that go back I don't know how many centuries. But I agree with you. They don't call themselves trans. They don't call themselves that they are women. They say no, they're lady boys. They're kind of a combination of both.
That's perverted as hell. No offense. Like I'm not trying to judge people for that, but I mean, lady boys, come on.
I agree with you. There's
Yeah.
the ickiness factor here that cannot be ignored. Like it is really socially, it's really icky to see, let's say, a big man wearing a dress. Now, why is that? Like, can we really put our finger on why? Like, do you feel icky when you see a big man with stubble wearing a dress and makeup? I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think
why
it's
is
weird.
that?
I
Why
think
do we
it's
feel
weird as
icky? That basically has to be a social construct, right? It's not because we have a gene in our chromosomes that says, "Oh,
Well,
we
I
feel
think
icky
it's a
when we see
lot.
dresses."
I think it's a lot different than being gay. Okay, I'm okay with people being gay or whatever. Okay, like I have no problem with whatever you do behind closed
Some of
doors.
my best friends are gay.
Yeah, good. But no, what I'm trying to say is there. What I'm trying to say is being gay doesn't involve cutting off your genitals, or doesn't involve self mutilation.
I agree. Yeah, it's a completely different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for having me on. That's all I wanted to talk about. Do you not let people on multiple times, or is this just
Well, for some reason, I thought I had a bad experience with you before, but maybe I'm confusing you with someone else.
No. I mean, I haven't been on here for weeks. Actually, if you want the truth, I haven't been on here for like 3 weeks. I
Well,
thought
I've
I'd
I've
call
missed
in.
you now that I've talked to you. I've missed you. So
Oh, okay. I miss you too, Doug. Well, you have a good night.
you too. Take care. Vesna. Oh, I see your eye. Say something. Let's see if we can hear you. She's still catching up. How did I do with the woke thing? Did I play the part well enough? I can't hear you, Vesna. Oh,
Am
now
I
I
on?
can. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Oh, I thought you were still talking to the other guy.
Yeah, I let him go.
Oh, there. Okay. I got to close the tab. All right. How did you do with the woke thing? Oh, you did not sound I give you a B minus.
Well, that's something. You mean I didn't go far enough?
Well, you did not sound dogmatic, and you didn't sound inflexible, and you didn't sound
Yeah,
unreasonable.
you're right.
But other than that,
You're
oh
right. I
man, I've
sounded like a
tipped my
reasonable
hand
woke
now.
person instead
People
of
are
like
gonna know.
a crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was hoping that you would get back to the video.
Oh, with Nathan.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Chris.
Well, I can do that right now.
Okay.
Is that all?
Well, sure, or we can watch it, or do you want to
No, you can't watch
turn
it
it
with
on
me
while I'm still
because
on? Can we do that?
no, you can't. Yeah, it won't work. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Should what I'll do is I'll skip
want-
to like the last 15 minutes or so when Nathan really manipulates Billboard Chris. Do you agree with me that he does?
I guess I would have to watch it again to see about the manipulation. I did not think about. I wasn't thinking in terms of manipulation, or it didn't strike me that way when I was watching it. However, can I go ahead and say what my comment is about the part that you haven't watched yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since I'm going to be on the line then.
Yep.
Okay, so so probably a lot of people have seen the part where You're probably talking about the part where Chris goes on a tear about calling Nathan disgusting,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yep.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking at your picture, so I didn't see you nodding. Because I just wanted to read out something that I wrote about that, because then I won't get lost in my word salad, as somebody called it on a comment. So I said that regardless of whether Chris's viewpoint is right or wrong, his behavior was wrong for when he called Nathan disgusting, and also before that. So I said that he engaged in ad hominem by calling Nathan disgusting and saying Nathan had no feelings. I said Nathan took the high road in his response. Nathan ignored the ad hominem and pointed out the non sequitur by saying that facts don't care about your feelings. I mean, that's true.
Yep.
So, and then I said, I put this in the comment of Peter's video, because so many people were saying, oh, that was a, they were either saying, oh, Nathan, that was a mic drop, or people were saying, oh, Chris, that was a mic drop. And clearly people were cheering one on the other, not based on what the argument was like, but based on which position they agreed in.
Yeah.
So I pointed out that Chris was, in the lead up to that, Chris was, as Chris was about to lose his cool, he repeatedly interrupted Nathan. And I thought that Peter did a very bad job, because he should not have pointed his mic at Chris when Chris was interrupting. He would point his mic at Chris, and it's like he wasn't, he should have been enforcing the rules of his game. And I think that that maybe led up to, facilitated Chris eventually just going off the rails. And by the way, and I think this is completely independent of whether Chris's position was coherent or correct or any of those things. So I said, yeah, Peter should have shut down the ad hominem. Otherwise, what's the point? I thought that we were trying to have impossible conversations here. And I said, if you are cheering Chris over Nathan in the "you're disgusting" exchange, so for the people who thought that Chris really put Nathan in his place, imagine if those exact words came out of Nathan's mouth. Like if Nathan said to Chris, "You're disgusting, you have no feelings," would and then I say, "Would you still say that that was on point?" And if Chris had said to Nathan, "Facts don't care about your feelings," the people who said, "Oh, that was juvenile that Nathan said that," would I mean, obviously, the people who thought that that Chris was being brilliant, or the people who thought that Nathan was, or whatever, um, they were basing it on what they think about the facts
Yeah.
of the
Well,
case.
let
So
me
I
let me
posted
play
this.
it. Let me play it, and people can see for themselves what happened. I'll just play the last. I think. What do you think? The last 10 minutes is when it really got spicy.
Just yeah, cut to like a couple of, like maybe a minute before he says you're disgusting. But I would like to just throw in this one last bit, that somebody responded to what I wrote by saying, Vesna, Nathan is actually disgusting. He comes across as a misogynist, da da da. And I wrote back, and I was channeling you a bit in my response to the person who said, but Nathan is disgusting. I said, who cares? The question under discussion was not, is Nathan disgusting? 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll play it. I
So
have some of a lot of the same points as you, but I just want to make a couple points while you're here. Number one, there have been many discussions between Nathan and Peter Boghossian and Billboard Chris, I think, before this. So there's history there that most people
Yes.
are unaware of. And oftentimes this happens with me and other people where people are not aware of that history. And so then they assume kind of like the worst of the other person, not knowing that maybe some of it at least is justified in the other person's mind. But anyhow, I'll let you go. I'll play the last 10 minutes or so.
Doug, may I throw in one more thing? For anybody who thinks that I'm defending Nathan by saying that he's noble, that he took the high road, there's also a video that Nathan posted where he just goes on a 3-minute tear about how horrible Peter Boghossian is. I don't know if you ever saw that, but I was really shocked to see it. He just talks about, oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you just want to feel up men or something.
Yeah. Peter was drunk.
So that was Nathan.
Yeah, I know, but Nathan reacted that way, I think, while Peter was drunk. I know some of the backstory about that, but this is becoming very
Oh, good.
gossipy.
Okay.
So I'll just play the last 10 minutes and
Bye.
make some comments. See ya. Let's see here. That's my daughter. You can hear in the background, right? Okay, let's claims of transgenderism. Here we go.
Most people believe that a trans woman is a woman. Most people believe that a trans man is a man.
Yeah, where would I stand on this one? Most people believe. I've seen polling data on this, and the most recent polling data I've seen is that I would agree, it's strongly disagree. It's something like 69% of people do not believe that you can change your gender, male, female, from what was assigned at birth, and I hate that phrase.
Here's the next claim.
In the
I
United
have
States.
no problem with a trans woman, in other words, a man, competing against a woman in women's sports.
I have a problem
I have
with
no problem.
Men competing against women. You're neutral on men competing against women.
Yes.
Would you be neutral on yourself? Would you be neutral on yourself going in a boxing match against a woman?
He does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so you can change it to Jiu-Jitsu.
So you think it's fine to go do BJJ with women yourself?
Is that an entailment of the claim that I'm neutral on?
Sure. No, it's not.
So it'd be possible for me to think that some sports could have men and women competing together, or trans men and women competing together, or trans women competing in women's categories, right? I could think that for some sports and not for others.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable response.
Do you...
Except to the claim.
Like if you consider, I don't know, what's a sport that's not really a sport? Curling? Well, no, curling you got to sweep. And one could say, yeah, men have an advantage because they can sweep harder and faster. By the way, I love curling. I'm from Canada.
What sports?
Well, in terms of my personal point of view, I kind of don't care. So my view of sport is that the main purpose of it is to entertain people.
Listen to that. This is what Billboard Chris, as you see, will get wrong. His opinion, Nathan's opinion, is the main purpose of sport is entertainment. I don't think he's wrong. I would agree with that opinion. But you need a metric to have some type of basis for what's the main purpose of sport. But if your metric has anything to do with the number of people willing to pay money to watch it, yeah, that's entertainment.
And so as long as I'm kind of entertained, well, yeah. So people could disagree about that, right? I'm not
People
saying
disagree.
they can't. But as long as there are some categories that people sign up to that enable the sport to take place, I'm sort of happy for whatever. Now, some people, I understand how people can disagree with me. They say, no, sports are there to exhibit virtues such as fairness, for example. So we create a fair playing field, and one way of doing that is to segregate by genders.
Well, why are there weight classes?
Yeah, because that's viewed as a fair way of dividing
Right.
things up. But I'm saying you could potentially take that away, and I might be fine with it, right? In principle.
Because it'd be
Yeah, weight classes in curling, in poker. Poker's not a sport.
more entertaining to watch a big guy beat a little guy.
In principle, yeah. So I'm not. I don't have like an absolutist point of view.
That's a good point. Like if a woman wants to fight a man and she knows what she's getting into and she's willing to risk going in a boxing ring with a man, do we as a society have to say no to that? Because literally her life is more at stake than, let's say, a man going into a ring with a man. Or even like a very small man and a lightweight going into a heavyweight. What if a lightweight 110-pound man wants to fight Mike Tyson, who was 210? Do we allow that as a society? We say, no, like, I know you want to do this, but if you do this, you're going to die, and we don't want you to die.
On the way that sports should be divided up, I think that people can just divide them up however they want, and then people can sign up to compete in sports.
So you're neutral in terms of. I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
You're neutral in terms of men competing against women, even if they're not trans. If they're just-
Yeah, sure.
Like if I just wanted to go in, are you?
By the way, kudos to Peter there. He made a good distinction there.
We didn't get an answer to the question. We didn't get an answer to the question.
What's the question?
Which sports is it fine for men to compete against women in?
In principle, any.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is where Billboard Chris is getting emotional. Oh, really? But you got to ask what Billboard Chris needs to really tease out here is, what do you mean by fine with? And if Nathan's saying, if someone is totally aware what they're getting themselves into and willingly chooses to participate, like a small woman willingly choosing to get in the ring with Mike Tyson, I think what Nathan's saying is he's fine with that as long as she knows what she's getting into, and if she wants to die, that's her right to die. I think that's sort of what Nathan would say.
In what way or context? Because young girls and boys play sports together quite frequently, and I know girls who play like volleyball with guys, and they'll frequently say, obviously, the guys are much more powerful and have a much more just strength in every single facet. But they play together, no doubt. Even sometimes competitively, but this is not at a professional level, and this is not to measure who's the best at this sport, or at least who.
Is it fine that Fallon Fox fractured a woman's skull in MMA?
Well, it sort of depends, right? Because if you're asking me.
No. I gotta move.
Okay, you can move anytime, but you have to commit to a line.
Well, I just want to come near the mic so we can talk. How does it depend? Fallon Fox fractured a woman's skull in MMA. She didn't even know she was signing up to fight a man. So you tell me how it depends.
Yeah.
This is pretty cut and dry.
Well, will I be allowed space to respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, what is it fine for someone to fracture someone else's skull? Well, I think that's a bad thing in general, obviously, right? But the question I'd want to ask is whether
A man fighting against a woman.
Be allowed space to respond.
You're changing the
No.
words, and I don't
Okay.
appreciate that.
Go ahead.
A man
Yeah, Peter made a mistake there. He should just stayed with the mic and let Nathan respond.
fighting a woman, not someone.
Go
You're
ahead.
trying to water down the language here.
So, as I was saying, I think that an important case to consider here is Michael Venom Page fracturing Cyborg's skull, right, with that knee. And I would ask whether we would say that it's equally as wrong in that case. Now, in the sense that...
Okay, for those of you who are not keeping up, Nathan's making a good point. Yes, a man fractured a woman's skull, but we see men fracturing other men's skulls, and we don't say that's fine either.
anyone getting their skull fractured is a bad thing to happen. It's wrong. But in the sense that within the context of the sport, you understand that things like this can happen, it's not wrong. The fact that someone's trans, in my view, isn't like an additional wrong-making property or something of the event. Yeah.
No, this is ridiculous. Males have greater upper body strength. They're taller, heavier, have broader shoulders.
Yeah, see, this person here It's so hard for me not to judge, but I'm judging both Billboard Chris and whoever this guy is as like not being that smart or not listening to what Nathan's saying. Like Nathan's making a good point. If you know what you're getting into and know the inherent risks to a sport, people get injured in certain sports, whether it's man on man or woman. Now, my argument, if I were there, I would ask the question or make the claim that, but the likelihood, the probability of even greater harm is higher the more the disparity in the physical strength. So why would we want to put either really small men with big men or women with men when that probability goes up? That would not be wise for society to allow.
Look at you. You're a broad guy. Do you know what I mean? You do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You no doubt do weights. You're not the tallest guy, but nonetheless, you have a lot of power. You can see it in your body. Most women here, you would be able to destroy them within...
Nathan probably doesn't disagree with any of this.
Like a few seconds. It would take a rare woman, and there's probably quite a lot of women here right now. I think it would be a rarity that woman would be able to stand up to you in any sort of way. To be quite...
Yeah, I guess I need to give this guy some grace, because he's sort of saying what I'm saying. He's making a probability argument.
Another false claim he made earlier is that sports is primarily for entertainment. Really? My girls are in diving 3 nights a week.
Yeah. This is so funny to me because these are opinions. What's the main purpose of sport? Well, I think the main purpose of sport is for entertainment. That is false. That's a false claim. I mean, this is the difference between verifiable facts and opinion. It would be so difficult to say what the main purpose of sport is. And say this is fact. This is a claim that is fact. What if someone says, no, the main purpose of sport is to cause people to bleed? That's the main purpose of sport, to cause people to bleed. Like, you just say, well, no, it isn't. That's stupid because many sports people don't bleed. I mean, it's just like, nah. This is so silly.
And they go to some competitions. If some boy comes along and starts competing against them, well, his upper body strength is going to be stronger. He's going to be able to do more flips and spins and all that sort of stuff. And he's going to defeat every single woman in the competition. Sports are not just for entertainment. Go tell that to all these...
Okay, notice for people who are skilled in SC, notice the problem that just happened there. Who can notice it? What Billboard Chris just said. You see a problem?
Every single woman in the competition. Sports are not just for entertainment.
Sports are not just for entertainment. Nathan never made that claim, that sports is just for entertainment. He said that's the primary or the main reason for sports, not that it's just for entertainment. You got to catch these little things. And this is why I say I promote the whole idea of being more dead inside, because when you're dead inside, when you're more dead inside, you catch these things easier. When you become emotional about a certain topic, then your hearing goes. It actually does. Your hearing comprehension goes. And you'll start saying things like Nathan never said. You hear what you want to hear.
Go tell that to all these girls competing in college swimming who trained 6 days a week, hours and hours a week, eating healthy, dedicating so much of their life in the pursuit of their swimming, only to have some man who was 500th in the male division come along and steal their gold medals. Tell me that's just about entertainment.
That's just about entertainment.
Okay, this is where Nathan, I think, rightly senses that Billboard Chris is getting emotional here, and he's purposely triggering him. Like, this is not an accident. And to any observer who's a little more dead inside, can obviously see that this is happening. He's basically like just pressing Billboard Chris's buttons. And if Billboard Chris, if you ever watch this, you allowed this. You allowed Nathan to trigger you.
I think you're a pretty disgusting individual, if I may say so. Well, I think you're disgusting. I think you're disgusting. You have a total lack of morality. You don't care about...
Total lack of morality. What's so amazing about this, I don't know, I'm very confident that if I was to sit Nathan and Billboard Chris down and I was the moderator, I would get them to agree on so much on this topic. But because Nathan just agreed with him and just purposely triggered him, it allowed Billboard Chris to get on this rant of, now you're disgusting, now you're immoral. This is actually a perfect example of someone I agree with in principle. I agree with Billboard Chris on much of the things he says about the trans issues. But this is where he's letting his emotions gain the better of him. Billboard Chris is that person, that what I call that woke person who comes up to him and starts swearing at him and screaming. Now, Billboard Chris is not swearing and screaming, but you can tell he is so emotional here and passionate that he's taking what's obviously a troll move by Nathan and letting it get to him.
What these women are going through. You don't care about the very simple, common sense unfairness of this entire thing. And
You don't care. Well, maybe ask him. I don't think that question's been asked. Do you care about, let's say, a woman going into a ring with a man? Do you care if they get hurt? I bet you anything that they would say, yes, I don't want them to get hurt. But he might also say that if the person is totally aware of what could happen and signs a waiver and everything and wants to do it, he might be a libertarian in this view and say they have the right to risk their life. Men do it against men all the time. There's many men who risk their lives going into the ring with Mike Tyson. But then it's a probability argument. Like you're more likely to be killed if you're a woman going in a ring with a man than even a smaller man going in a ring with a man.
Something wrong with you.
Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings.
That's brilliant. What Nathan did there is brilliant. Facts don't care about your feelings. And Chris has obviously got the feels right now. And so Nathan's using like a right-wing slogan to trigger him even more. Let's see his reaction here. I wish I could blow him up. I can blow him up.
Yeah, you don't have any feelings.
So what
The thing is, Billboard Chris is not a conservative. He's a left-winger.
What facts do you know that he doesn't know? And what facts does he... Okay.
I was just trolling him there. I just wanted to make a...
Yeah, and Nathan admits he's trolling him.
The point I was exhibiting was that, like, a woke person like myself can understand the reasons that someone who disagrees with them might provide for their position. So if people recall when I said, so someone might disagree with my position because they think that sport's about something else. So I had the ability to understand and interpret why someone might disagree with me on this and then provide reasons for why I hold my own point of view, rather than reflexively becoming emotional and angry because someone disagrees with me and then coming up with insults about their character to justify my own position.
Do you think that men are, on average, women are as strong as men?
No.
You think, which is stronger?
Usually men.
And do you think that manifests as an
I wonder if Peter's shocked by that answer. He shouldn't be.
advantage in sports?
Yes.
And do you think that if one has an advantage on sports because of that category, that's unfair?
It can be unfair.
And do you think if something is unfair, it's wrong?
Not well. In general, yes, but not when it comes to sports. It depends where we want to draw those lines, right? So to make this point, people have different economic backgrounds, right? So parents will provide their children with different amounts of nutrients while they're growing up, different amounts of coaching, but we don't have those as categories that we divide our sports up into. We can divide our sports however we want, and my view is still, well, if I so sometimes I might care about fairness in some cases of sports, but I also might just care about like freak shows in sports as well, because I think
No, you can come in the next round. Do you so okay. I want to wrap it up. Did you get anything out of this today?
I enjoyed myself, yeah.
Did you get anything out of this?
Yeah, I got that he doesn't care at all about fairness for women in sport.
Was he not listening to Nathan? Nathan just said that he does generally care about fairness. But he understands that sometimes in sport, you can have men against men, unfair, women against women, unfair, how you were raised, opportunities can be unfair. And yet we as a society allow some unfairness.
I agree. I hate women. That is my view as a woke person.
Saying, yeah, just triggering him some more.
Do you consider yourself a woke?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
But, okay, but here's the thing. I think that was a sincere laugh. I think Peter actually knew what was going on here. Peter understood that Nathan was goading him. And that's why I think Peter is asking those questions at the end. Like, do you think men are on average stronger than women? Yes. Like, he's like just letting Billboard Chris know that Nathan actually agrees with Billboard Chris on so many things. But notice Billboard Chris could not hear it because he's not dead inside. Not more dead inside. This is a great example of how I think so many people that I call woke on the left hate it when they hear me say, be more dead inside. But now they might disagree with Billboard Chris, and they're hearing me use it against him. And now they might be more open to it, that idea. That's why I'm playing this. It's a good teaching moment. Like, if I were there's no way I can imagine myself reacting the way Billboard Chris did. I mean, maybe this is why Nathan and I have good talks, at least most of the time, some of the time. But yeah, it's a great lesson on how to be more dead inside. Like, it actually causes you not to be able to hear. Now, don't get me wrong. I love passion. I love going to the theater and watching great musicals. I even tear up. But when it comes to when you're in discussing ideas or debate mode, you want to be more dead inside, because you will actually start looking like a fool once you let yourself be triggered. And I actually think Billboard Chris here in this one particular episode actually looked foolish. Even though I agree with Billboard Chris on almost everything he says on this issue, he looked foolish by becoming so emotional that he cannot not even hear what Nathan was saying. Not even, maybe Billboard Chris is autistic. He didn't even pick up on the social cues that Nathan was fooling with him, like purposely trolling him. Anyhow, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, Doug has tears. I watched Saving Private Ryan for the 10th time just to see if I would cry again, and I did. That movie, I think I could watch 100 times and it still makes me cry. One of the very few movies that can guarantee to make me cry. Saving Private Ryan. That scene where at the end where he talks about, did I earn it? Did I earn the sacrifice of my comrades? I mean, it just gets me. I hope Peter and Billboard Chris don't hate me now. Billboard Chris, I don't think knows who I am, but Peter does. Yeah, that graveyard scene. That scene makes me cry because it gets to the guttural, the visceral human experience of people sacrificing themselves for another person. And then you ask the question, why? And especially because Tom Hanks' character, before his death, says, you need to earn this. This is similar to Christianity, but unlike Christianity, Jesus sacrificed himself, but didn't say you have to earn it. But you still got to obey him if you really love him. This is why Christianity has an appeal, because of this idea of self-sacrifice. In a lot of ways, Christianity is brilliant. That will trigger some atheists. But it does get to that visceral resonance in people. That someone died for them so that they can get some great reward. You can't blame people for falling for it. Yeah, it was a bad weekend for Jesus, but, you know, still, how many people here would die a weekend for me? Not too many. Let me do a poll here. I want to know your opinion. Well, what should I ask? I was going to ask, do you think Billboard Chris looked bad here? But maybe that's like a loaded leading question. Let me ask this. Do you think my take on Billboard Chris is correct? And if you've been listening, you know my take on Billboard Chris. That basically he let his emotions get the better of him. So much so that he couldn't even hear Nathan. That he allowed, my take is that he allowed Nathan to manipulate him. Yeah, maybe it's a stupid poll question because maybe I'm just preaching to the choir here. I don't know. Although we got some disagreement. For those of you who disagree with my take on Billboard Chris, I encourage you to call in. I want to know where you think I'm wrong. No, that's not. I think Nathan Trolling is a type of manipulation, and I think Nathan purposely manipulated Billboard Chris successfully. Doug, Anthony is doing an AMA on December 5th at 1 p.m. on your in the Street Epistemology Discord server. It would be nice to have a right-leaning person there with input. Yeah, I can try to remember that. Reed, if you ever hear this, remind me. Now, let me be clear with what I'm saying about Billboard Chris here. Again, I'm not saying I disagree with Billboard Chris. What I'm saying is he couldn't hear Nathan's point. He definitely wasn't charitable to Nathan. He didn't even try to understand Nathan's point of view, in my view, in my opinion. All he hears is, if you don't agree with me 100%, you're wrong. That's the attitude I get from Billboard Chris. A great example is when he said, so Nathan, it's okay for this man to break the skull of this woman, this trans woman, this man broke the skull of this woman. You think that's okay? And then Nathan bringing up the point, well, men break other men's skulls in sport too. So is it okay to break skulls? No. Generally, no, Nathan said. But if we have a society that allows people to put themselves at risk, we definitely allow that in some sports between men and men. See, and then I would say, if I was Billboard Chris, yeah, I get your point. But I just think that the odds are higher that a woman's going to be more injured than another man. So this is why I think we should not allow it. And I bet you anything, Nathan would say, yeah, I agree, the likelihood is higher. My whole thing with trans women in women's sports is, I just think, keep it simple. Totally disallow it. Why make exceptions? Keep it simple, stupid. For most sports, there's a reason why women's sports exist, and that reason is because of this unfair advantage that even exists pre-puberty. So I am not that concerned about the mental anguish of trans people. I really am not. So I'm totally okay with excluding trans women in women's sports, even if it does cause mental anguish. Now, I might change my mind on that once I start seeing, 100 or 1,000 trans women commit suicide because they're not given their way. But even then, I probably won't change my mind on it. But so far, even show me one. Show me one trans woman who's committed suicide because they didn't get their way with getting into a certain sport. This is probably the fundamental difference between me and people who disagree with me on this topic. This is what I just said. I'm okay with some mental anguish. Whereas some tree-hugging, granola-crunching, sandal-wearing, tie-dye shirt-wearing hippies, no mental anguish allowed. Mental anguish, bad. Nothing but peace and serenity for all. Mental anguish creates character. Does that conversation make you reconsider how you define woke? No, it doesn't. Because I know, Nathan, we've talked about this. One of the key aspects of my definition of woke is the shutting down of dialogue rather than promoting it. Nathan's not that way. So as my friend JR says, I should do it as a sliding scale. So I don't put Nathan at like 100% or even 90% woke on my definition, because he's more than happy to have civil conversations with people who disagree with him. Nathan's not the type of person who would get emotional easily and start swearing at people and saying, you're not allowed to speak here, you're not allowed to talk. He's not that way. But even a guy like Matt Dillahunty, he would shut down conversation. Matt Dillahunty is far more woke than Nathan. Like Matt Dillahunty is probably at 90%. Nathan's probably, in my view, like 65%. But Nathan does feel more sorry for people than I do, definitely. And so he'd be definitely over 50%. I'd be under 50%. Now, I still feel sorry for some people, but my feel sorry for them starts at kids born with bone cancer, not with trans women who want to be in women's sports. No, I do not feel sorry for you at all. Just don't. It's in my programming. Yeah, Billboard Chris, he feels more sorry. If you're going to make the sorry for argument, this is how it would go. I feel more sorry for cis women than I do trans women. I care about the mental anguish of cis women in sports than trans women. I'm okay with trans women being mentally anguished as opposed to cis women being mentally anguished. That's the feel sorry. It's a competition. And you could use this argument. Feel free to use it. There's far, far, far more cis women, and I know even that term is derogatory, but there's far more cis women than trans women who are affected in sports. So if you're going to feel sorry for people, feel for the greatest well-being, which are the cis women. There's more of them than for the trans women. So trans women, you just got to suck it up. You're outnumbered. And this is why we need more trans kids, because we got to get our numbers up so people can feel even more sorry for us. Chris's woke rating? I don't know. I don't know what he thinks on other topics, but he is definitely open to dialogue when he's in control. But in this situation, well, he's semi in control here because Peter and him are friends. But you can tell there's a huge difference. He's used to people who disagree with him. I think a lot of times he's used to them just yelling and shouting. And here Nathan was calm and cool and collected. And that threw him for a loop. Yeah, I know, Bacon. I'm saying cis just for the wokesters in the crowd, so they can understand what I'm saying. Almost everyone's open to dialogue as long as... No, what I'm talking about is when you have a third party like Peter as a moderator, are you open to dialogue with someone? Like, for example, Matt Dillahunty with Andrew Wilson, there was a moderator, and Andrew Wilson could just say a few key words from the Crucible, that guy, and it just sent Matt Dillahunty into a tailspin. You offended me. You offended someone else. You offended a community. Therefore, I'm not talking to you. That's like pretty woke. It makes me want to sit down with these people like Matt Dillahunty and purposely say things that will trigger them over and over again until they become numb to it. Like extreme cognitive coaching. So they become so dead inside that you could say the most triggering things to them and they're just numb to it. You can't affect them. Now, if you're in the debating community like Matt is, I would think this would be a useful skill to be dead inside. Yeah, but he didn't even reference the debate topic at all. He was obviously there with other motives. Well, David, you could be right, but I wouldn't have left. I would have said in my mind, let's say you're right, and I agreed with you. I would say to myself, okay, this guy he has an ulterior motive, but I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna ask him a question. And then I'm going to see his answer. And if that answer contradicts what he said just 10 minutes ago, I got him. Or I'm going to do a consistency check, and I'm going to get him. See, that's how my brain works. If I'm in debate mode. I don't care what your ulterior motive is. I'm going to use it against you. But maybe Matt's not that smart. I don't know. Matt behaved like Will Smith. Don't say this out of your effing mouth without the slap. Extreme virtue signaling. I gotta protect my lover. Not only would you have left, you would have let the most offensive thing to you slide. Yeah, mostly. I do have a limit, just like I am human, unfortunately. I do have a limit, but the thing is, it's really hard to get offended from what a stranger says. And I think Andrew Wilson is a complete stranger to Matt Dillahunty. I think Matt admitted that he hadn't met him until that day or didn't do any research on Andrew Wilson. So when a stranger says the most offensive thing to me, it's still not going to be like, it can be hurtful, but compared to someone who I know and admire or whatever, no, it's not even on the radar. Yeah, I agree, Morte. Strong emotions are a mind killer. Ancient Stoics warned against them. And I want to say something to encourage people who find themselves struggling with emotion, that you can get better with it. You can retain your emotion, your passion, but still, in certain situations, hear things that you strongly disagree with and learn to let something slide and focus on what really counts. You can get better at it. Just like not everybody's going to be a marathon runner in their life. But even if you're fat, I love that word, even if you're fat, you can become a better runner, assuming you have legs. It's so unfair that people without legs can't run, right? Making jokes about the handicap now. So there's hope. You can actually train yourself to get better at certain things. I've trained myself to be better at compassion. 10 years ago, I was very uncompassionate. And look at me now. I'm bursting with empathy and compassion. You disagree? You disagree? Oh, sorry, you're trying to join. I don't have that one open, but I can open it. My mistake. Grr, call back. I like you, Grr. Even though you're woke. No, you can't call in on the toilet. Hey, how's my woke friend doing?
As woke as ever. Yeah, I kept trying to join, but
yeah, that's my fault. I turned the window off. Sorry, but you're here now.
Oh, okay. I don't think this is a you thing, but I'm narcissistic, so of course I'm making this about me. But anytime I would comment, it wouldn't show up on my other screen name. But for whatever reason, when I do it as streams, it does show up.
You're saying that you're blocked.
Are you silencing me? My freedom of speech?
Maybe. I honestly don't remember, but do you think there's something you've said in the past that is block-worthy?
I don't think
Did you
so.
say anything really personal to someone else or to me?
No.
In the comments?
If I did anything like that, it would be.
Have you said anything nasty about me when I'm not around?
Probably, but to be fair, I've said nasty stuff about literally everyone I know.
Okay, what nasty thing did you say?
So.
What nasty thing do you think you might have said about me when I'm not around? That I might have heard.
Actually, I can't think of anything.
Oh. Because now that we're talking, I'm thinking that I did block you for something you said not on my program, but on someone else's.
Ooh,
but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, well, that takes the fun out of it.
I know. But does that ring a bell? Could that be true?
Not off the top of my head, because I've always. I'm trying to think. I feel like I've taken a few shots at you, but I can't really think of anything, at least not off the top of my head.
Yeah, my guess is you're blocked because you took you went one shot too far, but I honestly don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, that makes two of us.
So what do you really think of me?
I honestly, I was thinking about this yesterday. When it comes to Matt Dillahunty, politically, I lean more towards his direction. But when it comes to having conversations with theists and specifically Christians, I lean way more towards your way.
But I don't want you to be lovey-dovey to me. Like, let me have it. What do you disagree with me on? What if you could change me, what would you change me into? Like, don't hold back. Be honest. If you're honest with me, I'll unblock you.
Also, I am blocked. I knew it all along.
Well, no, that's my guess. No. I can double check while you talk.
Yeah. No, when it comes to, I guess the main gripe that I have with you and with others of your ilk, if you will, is this whole, there's trans people are a thing, and I just want to say a bunch of stuff that is either mean or could be taken the wrong way.
You think I say mean things to trans people?
Well, it's just that it seems to me like when it comes to trans people in general, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trans, so I can't speak for everyone. It just seems like there is this issue there of I assume you lean towards like a libertarian point of view of you live and let live, basically, right? Like, as long as nobody's hurting you or anyone else, like,
yeah,
you don't care.
For adults especially, yeah. But I do have limits. Like, I'm against puberty blockers and bottom surgery and top surgery for kids. I'm okay with them going through mental anguish until they get 18. Think about that now. I'm okay with some mental anguish.
What is
Yeah.
that? What do you mean by that? Like mental anguish?
I
Until
mean
they're
that if
18?
they're sad until they're 18, until they want to transition bottom top surgery or puberty blockers, whatever. No, not allowed. And
Okay,
you can be sad.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as far as like someone that's 18 or older, you
Yeah.
don't care one way or another if they transition or
No, as
whatever.
long as they pay for it with their own money. I am this whole healthcare. You have a right to transition healthcare. No, you don't have. Nobody has rights to healthcare for certain specific procedures. It's not in our constitution.
Yeah, well, I think that is a whole other debate when it
Yeah,
comes
it
to like
is. It is a
healthcare.
whole other debate. So we'll keep that out
Yeah,
of it. But so
yeah,
so,
that's
do you have a problem with
yeah, that's
me?
fair. I guess the only let me think here. Other than I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of something that I don't
Because you know
agree.
your friends are going to be watching, and if you don't let me have it now, they're going to say, "Why weren't you?" Don't be scared of Pine Creek. Say what you want to say, and I'll be nice
Oh,
to
yeah,
you.
well, you're no, well, you're probably not wrong about that. But no, like when it comes, like there's really like the only thing that I think you and I probably disagree on is just on some political matters. Like you lean right. I'm not saying you're a right winger, but you lean right, I lean left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to be a matter of politics. Like, I mean, which I think is like overall pretty simple, easy stuff. Like when it comes to politics, like I know Jefferson Spatchcock, whom I consider to be a friend. I know I know he's made some stuff about you and has done streams on some of your content here.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't strike me as someone who would like just viciously attack you for no reason at all. And I feel like I'm kind of that way myself. Like I'll see people and individuals, I might have disagreements with them, but I don't see it as necessarily a reason to like attack the person.
Say the last part again.
Like I'll have disagreements with people, but I won't see a reason to attack the person for having political opposition to whatever their opinion is.
Okay, you separate the person. Love this. The sinner, hate the sin.
Yeah, hate the sin. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
So we have disagreements, but you think I'm a great guy, and
I think you should be a spokesman for a Rogaine. There you go.
there you go. Can't be triggered.
There's my hashtag burn.
Do you think I'm hurting trans people?
I don't know, because in all honesty, I haven't been keeping up with a lot of YouTube lately. I do know you've had some oppositional like opinions when it comes to
Your friends are going to be
trans
so
people.
mean to you later.
Oh,
I feel sorry for you.
I'm sure they will be.
I'm asking you a very
You do
simple
have
question.
feel sorry for ism. You do
I
have
feel sorry for you, GrrMania, because I'm asking a very pointed question, and you are going with the I don't know answer.
Okay, remind me, what was the question again?
Do you believe I hurt trans people? Lean yes, lean no.
I would say like I would say you do have contrary points of view that probably does hurt either trans people and as far as feelings, or maybe even a pragmatic point of view, which is trans people just want to live and let
So
live.
your answer
live
is
their
you
life.
think it is likely that I do hurt some trans people.
Yeah, I would say that's probably fair. Yeah.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Next time you hear of someone's trans person saying that I've hurt them, let me know. I want to talk to that person.
Okay.
Because
fair
who knows?
enough.
I might apologize for something that I think I really should have said that. But to give my
I don't
opinion,
see that. Well, I mean, go ahead. I'm
Like-
sorry. Go ahead.
to give my opinion on something that
Mhm.
is my opinion or something I truly believe, and if that makes someone to have mental anguish, so be it. So I will not
Oh,
ask,
okay.
I will
Yeah.
not ask or apologize. I will not apologize for stating my opinion, even though it might cause someone to cry. I will never apologize for stating what I think is true, even if it makes someone be very, very sad. I did that with my wife. I said, I no longer believe Jesus is the Lord. She went through
Right.
mental anguish. But I'm not going to apologize for something I just can't believe. I'm not going to apologize for saying stuff like, I don't think trans women should be in women's sports. That's what I truly believe.
Yeah. To be fair, I do think I actually do find it admirable anytime somebody says something that is either a hot take or controversial or hateful, as long as they're stating what they truly believe. I feel the same way about, like, you know, white supremacists and whatnot. Like, hey, if you feel a certain way, I do want you to say it out loud, so that way I and other people know,
Yeah,
you know,
who
what
we
you
are,
stand for, and
who to stay away from,
right.
so that everybody can know that
Yes.
stay away from PineCreek. Yeah, I'm doing them a favor by letting them know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that about. I mean, you know what I mean. Like, if somebody said, like, if there's a store owner on the corner of the street that runs a bakery, and they hate black people or gay people or whatever the case may be, I want them to say it so I know what store to go to, as opposed to going to their store.
Yeah.
I think that might be where I differ a little bit from, dare I say, other lefties, because I want people to say how they truly feel. Like, even when it comes, you know, like Bread of Life, Rebecca, when she goes on her, you know, evolution is not real, blah, 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 blah. I have to kind of admire it, because it's like, well, you know what? You're being honest with yourself. You don't believe that evolution is a thing. So, you know what? I have to commend you for saying something as stupid as it is.
Yep. Do you value
that's
people on the right?
Yeah, like most of my family are on the right.
No, I mean not just like value them because they're your family, but I mean that they might have ideas or opinions that are valuable to society.
Probably, because like, well, I can't use my family because my family are a bunch of morons. But in general, when it comes to those on the right, I do think there is a value there in having an opinion that comes from that perspective, because either that helps me learn more about how to live in a better society, meaning, okay, they said X is correct. I truly see that as not being correct, so I'm going with Y or Z. Or even if they say something that is correct, it lets me know what it like.
Okay, what? Okay, watch this. You're rambling a little bit, so I'm going to help you out.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, then I want you to do the counter to what I say. So I'm going to say progressives, I value progressives who lean left, far left, because sometimes as a society, we need to push the envelope with new ideas to generally help society progress, to move forwards, that we can sometimes be stuck in our traditions and our status quo that could be better if we changed. And so this is why I value progressivism. Now tell me why you value conservatism. It's getting late. Your turn.
So you want me to tell you why I value conservatism?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not trying to be pedantic, but like, is there a certain flavor of conservatism that you're talking about? Like, we're talking about like for example, when it comes to taxation and economics or social norms and values.
However
I just feel like it's
however you define what a
question.
conservative is, what do you value about them?
I would say probably more with economical issues. Like when it comes to economics, taxes, and stuff like that, I do feel like that's probably where I lean the most right on, which isn't very much, but slightly more than, like, say, your social
Yeah,
issues.
but a lot of Democrats would say the same thing, fiscally conservative. How about on social issues? Can you name one social issue that you would say, I value a conservative's opinion on this social issue?
No, I can't.
Oh,
Like I can't think of a single social issue that I lean yes
no.
or
Even
lean right
hypothetically,
on.
can you think of one? Like, do you think that there could be a chance that progressives go too far on a certain issue, where they can be reined in by a conservative?
Okay, the first thing that comes
I'm throwing
to
you a
mind.
softball here. There's an easy answer, yes, right?
Well, the only thing that comes to mind is maybe like disowning or dissociating from people who share a right-wing opinion. From
I'm not
like,
even asking you to give a
for
specific
example,
example. What I'm asking is, do you think it's possible that progressives can go too far and we need conservatives to rein them in?
the only thing I can think of is the whole like freedom of speech type stuff.
How so?
For example,
Progressives go too far with free
just
speech?
well, no, like me being here talking to you without yelling at you and calling you names could get me quote unquote canceled. Meaning, I'll have people who say, "Oh, I thought GrrMania was a left-leaning guy," which I am, but he talked to Doug and he was being polite, or well, so far being polite, and not yelling at him and calling him names and yada yada yada. I don't think that's a whole type of like it applies to all lefties, but I do see it happen a lot, at least on Twitter, which I guess Twitter
Do
doesn't
you see it happening more from the
much.
left or the right, in your opinion?
Oh, when it comes to that sort of stuff, like being social with somebody, I see it happen far more on the left of them not liking that
I
versus the
agree.
right.
It's because they're more touchy-feely. They care about people too much.
Oh, well, they do definitely care about people.
Too
I don't
much.
know. I don't know what that entails exactly, but yes, I do know that. Again, me just talking to you without yelling and causing a ruckus
It's going to upset
will
some people.
It will upset some people. Yes.
Yeah, and my
And
rationale,
I find that to be
I agree with you. I believe you because I've heard it with my own ears from dropping on other channels and smiling with a big smile on my face. But the reason why I say that is because they care too much. I think that's true. They think Doug is hurting people, and if you associate with him, you are contributing to that hurtfulness.
Oh, by proxy.
Yeah, by proxy, yeah. And so they care so deeply about, let's say, trans people, that if you associate with Doug, we know his stance on it, and so therefore he's hurting trans people, so you don't give him a platform, don't ignore him. Let's try to get his subscriber count down. Let's try to have him become irrelevant. Whatever it might be, it's because it's all fueled by this, in my opinion, a false idea of compassion. And I say false because sometimes someone's strength can be their greatest weakness if it's pushed too far. And this is what I see what's happening with the trans movement, especially is that they feel such compassion that they're blinded, just like Billboard Chris was blinded by some really obvious things, like men shouldn't be in women's sports.
Yeah, because I lost my train of thought. I just know that when it comes to like, here's the thing. The one reason why I'm not very upset, and I'm kind of sort of dead inside, like I'm not saying I'm like you, but similar to yourself when it comes to talking to people who do have views that I do not share, who do have values that I do not hold.
Mm-hmm.
One reason why I think that I'm more open to discussion and open to talking to them without just being mad and angry is because I used to be that way. Like, I used to be the stereotype of Christian Republican who would say, God hates, F slurs, But since nobody treated me terribly, I think to myself, damn, I don't want to tell somebody.
Nobody treated you poorly on the right?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously not from the right. I'm sorry, yeah, because I was on the right. But what I'm saying is, when I see my fellow lefties like refuse to engage in conversation and would rather throw insults and just say, don't talk to this person. I think of myself when I was a young Christian right winger. I think, man, if somebody treated me that way, I would have probably stayed on the right. But thankfully, I did meet people who shared. I won't even say it's a left view, but an opinion and a worldview of just society that I did not share. They didn't treat me wrong.
Can I ask why you
And so,
shifted left
yeah,
after you left Christianity?
it's funny. It actually started before I switched teams on the theism atheism discussion.
But they're connected, right? For you? Because it wasn't
I
for
don't
me.
know. I don't know if they were connected because when I was still a Christian, I started to go from Republican to Libertarian, meaning I thought, okay, for example, gay marriage. I thought, okay, I believe it's a sin at the time, but I also think that God gives us free will, and even if it's not His will, I should not have the right to impose my religious views onto others via the government. And
Are you still that way? Are you still libertarian?
In a lot of ways, I am. Like when it comes to like personal liberties, like drugs, like prostitution.
So in what
stuff like
sense
that,
are
I
you
don't
left
care.
then?
I would say
Because
when it comes to,
economically,
like,
you said you were basically right, or at least you valued the conservative.
yeah, this is where I'm kind of like a mutt politically, because when it comes to economics, I lean towards like free healthcare, free education, not just high school, but also
Okay.
college,
There we go.
healthcare, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would call myself a socialist either. But I do have the way I see it is I'm a quasi capitalist, but I think there's a lot of room for socialistic programs.
Yeah, like I am also I'm okay with the government helping society, the very poor, but I do think my hierarchy might be different than a lot of people on the left. My hierarchy of helps of a social safety net starts with mom and dad, family, extended family, immediate community, city, state, federal government's last. So if you're dependent on the federal government, all those in my hierarchy of helps, all that above you has collapsed in some, and for some people it does collapse. But I'm saying federal government should be the last resort for healthcare, for education.
Well, for example, if somebody has some mental issues, we'll say they're not quite mentally challenged, but they do have like some mental issues. They have a hard time keeping a job for various reasons due to the mental health that happens in their head. Would you think somebody like that maybe should have free health care or some sort of free housing or something of that nature?
That hierarchy for me still stands. So if a person is born with mental health problems or mental disabilities, that's still the mother and the father's job till the day they die to take care of their child. Number
What if
two,
the child
then
becomes like
the extended family. Number three, then the local communities, charities even that know the family, know the situation, and then last of all, federal government. This is what makes me a conservative.
Okay, I understand. Well, when it comes to like the family taking care of the person, extended family, what if the person has no extended family?
Yeah, then they go down the chain of hierarchy. And for a lot of people, I acknowledge that their parents can't afford to help them. The relatives can't. Even the local communities have not done it. So, but in my opinion, the federal government is a last resort to help you. And it should not be, and it should not be viewed as a glorious thing. It's like the last resort.
Well, no, I mean, I understand it shouldn't be glorious because it's somebody who needs help, right?
Yeah.
It's somebody who is in desperate need. But I think that's where the government can come in handy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this is somebody who is in desperate need.
I agree. Like I don't want extremely impoverished people dying in our country. I don't want I'll give you a selfish reason to be a conservative and be for welfare programs. You don't want them stealing from you. You don't want poor people stealing from you. You don't want them to come up to your house at a desperation saying, like, so that's a very selfish reason, but a good one to have the federal government.
Well, you're right, because if somebody grows up, they're jobless, they have these mental issues, obviously, more than likely, that's where their life is going to go, is stealing from others, which could include yourself.
But this is what also I think the difference between me and a lot of people is, I feel that sometimes people who have, let's say, mental issues or physical issues, they are being glorified. That we as a society glorify them, that they're this victim, and we need to listen to them more, or we need to help them, but they are not great. They are burdens to our society. Like, I love disabled people looking me straight in the eye and say, I'm a burden to society. Can you please help me? And me saying, yes, I will help you. Rather than a disabled person looking me in the eye and say, I'm disabled. You must listen to me. Give me this now. That's in the good old caveman days. That's a sure way to die.
Well, that's an appeal to tradition or the past or whatever. But like, what?
Oh, don't give me this
person
philosophy
is
stuff.
saying? What mental person is saying you must help me? Therefore, the government should help me. Like, what do you mean by that?
Oh, what was that that YouTube channel that had that woman in the wheelchair? She basically said, no, as a disabled person, you need to listen to me. I think she actually said those words.
Okay, well, no, but forget all of us pawns in this scheme, but the government should help somebody who needs help, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the attitude of these victims. The attitude of the victims is that I'm a victim, so therefore you need to listen to me and you need to do this for me. It's an attitude that I find repulsive. Same with trans people. Like, I'm a trans person. You need to support my community. No, we don't. We don't need to do anything. If you need help, you need to ask nicely.
I thought you were about to say you need to ask God. What does it mean for someone to say, I, as a insert the blank, need you, Doug, to help me? Like, what does that mean to you? Going by what you've said thus far.
I need to help. You need that they have to do it.
Yeah,
that they must do
has
it.
to do this thing for me. Like, what's an example of what of this thing that you're talking about?
Well, we were talking about
not
the trans.
As a gadget, just because I'm curious.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the trans issue for a long time. So, but the trans issue is, I'm a woman. I'm a trans woman. So you must allow me to use a woman's bathroom, compete in women's sports, go into a woman's prison if I've committed a crime. No, we don't have to. We don't have to allow this. And then the society. When I say we, I mean society.
Okay.
And then when the retort is, well, then you don't support the trans community, or you're a transphobe, or you're causing the suicides, the deaths of many people. Like, this type of emotional blackmail, I'm very against.
When it comes to supporting the trans community, as you said, do you consider yourself a supporter of the trans community?
No way. I do not support the trans community.
Okay. Well, is there anything about?
I also don't support
trans
the Phoenix Suns community. I also don't.
I don't know what that is, but that might be the point.
Well, you don't know.
But what is this might be a loaded question, and I appreciate that. But is there anything about the trans community or trans
I also don't support the gay community?
Okay, what does it mean to not support the gay community?
I don't give them money, number one. I don't give them my time.
That means you don't
number
support
two.
anyone, though.
No.
That's just a blanket statement, though, because
No, I support.
unless they're your family or people that you like.
No, I support. I support the
internet.
St. Jude's Children's Hospital community. I support the Ronald McDonald House community.
But I mean, like, you're okay and you support like two gay men getting married, right? You don't have
Yes.
any issue with that, do you?
Yes. No, I have no issue.
Yeah, no issue with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and you're smart. You're asking clarifying questions. Do I wish the death upon trans people? No. Do I?
No, I mean,
do I advocate violence against trans people? No. But I can, at the same hand, I can say I do not support the trans community, and if that makes you cry, go cry.
What is there anything about the trans, gay, or any other thing that you would support? Like, is there anything that you're like, you know what, I do support this person or this group for XYZ reasons, or is it just no across the board?
Yeah, I tend not to support any communities, other than, see, and this makes it all better, right? Because I'm consistent.
Yeah, but it's like I can't be racist. I hate everybody.
Exactly. It's not that I hate trans people. It's just no.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, no. But I do support like certain charities. Of course, I think like the hierarchy I was mentioning. The number one thing I need to support, that I want to support, is my own family.
Well, sure.
Then my own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Then my own state, and lastly my own country. But certain like I don't support bowling leagues or that sort of thing.
Yeah, but like if somebody in your family or your community or your neighborhood was gay or trans or black or what have you, obviously that's not a disqualifier from your support because they're within your network, correct?
Right. Yeah, great clarifying question.
So,
yeah.
I'm
So now, given my definition of supporting communities, do you support the trans community?
When you say, do you support the trans community? Sorry to go all philosophy, bro, but what do you mean by that?
In the same way I said it, that I don't wish any harm upon them. I don't advocate for violence against them, but I'm not going to give them my money or my time. Do you give the trans community your money or your time?
I don't give anyone money.
Okay. Do you give do you specifically give the trans community your time?
I try to, like on YouTube and even in my personal life. But I will say this: I do think I don't call myself an ally, and I've said this many other times, not on your show here. I feel like ally is this term that's been kind of like used and abused.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people use that word, and it's like, I don't think you know what that word means. But I will say this: I have zero problems with trans people, gay people, or anyone else. Like I have just no issue whatsoever. And if somebody is trans or gay or what have you, it means nothing to me. I just don't care. It's like
you have zero issue with trans people?
Yeah, I don't have any issue with them.
Where's
the gotcha? I'm listening. What? With what?
Well, when I hear zero issue, I mean like there's not specific individuals within the trans community that you have a problem with?
Oh, well, no, there's nobody that you know, hardly anyone that I know, but there are some people I have met in real life and online that I am not a fan of who happen to be trans.
There are many people in the trans community who are darn right stupid. Right?
But it has nothing to do with them being trans. It's just the person themselves is what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with them being trans. You're like, you get that, right?
Yeah, I get that.
You don't want to say it, but you do.
Well, there's a fine line between, like, depending on what they're saying. Like if they say something like, you need to listen to me and do what I say because I'm trans, then it is about them being trans.
Well, yeah, if that's the case, and
that happens a lot, I think. Like I hear people on the line give. Have you ever seen
I've
that
not
they
had
do?
that experience.
They do polling questions like, "Do you support the trans community? Yes or no?" And
And you're like, hell no.
yeah, I say
And you
no.
push that button.
I say it with a smile on my face.
But and again, just to be fair to you, if somebody said, "Do you support the white community?" you'd say the same thing, I'm sure, right?
Right.
Just to be fair. And I hate to like.
I don't
still
support the
man
blacks either.
Well, I was going to use that as an example, but I was like, I probably shouldn't use that. Let's just go.
But
with
my wife, I
whites.
do.
Because again, I'm not like I hate to still man you, but I do. I kind of see your line of logic.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with
Because there's a
community per
danger.
se.
There's a danger in supporting communities, and that is this terrible word called tribalism. And unfortunately, we evolved with tribalism. You know, it doesn't apply to you and me, Gert, because you and I have out-evolved evolution. But for many of the
We're
humans,
superior. We're
Yeah.
the superior race.
for many humans, they feel this need to be tribal.
I'm joking.
And
Any of my lefties
I
see
have to support this community because it's my community. Well, guess what? There's many cases where even in my community of being an atheist, for example, a lot of atheists are complete idiots.
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. It might be for different reasons, but yes. When I first became an atheist, I thought if you're an atheist, you must be intelligent, you must be wise, and I am proof that is. not the
I will
case.
make the claim that a big chunk, a big percentage of atheists living in the United States are only atheists because they were, I agree with Frank Turk, because they were hurt in the church, or because they were gay and they weren't accepted, or because they were trans and weren't accepted. This is not a good reason to be an atheist. It's a good reason to maybe leave a certain church community, but not a reason to throw
Oh,
away
yeah,
a whole
yeah.
religion.
I agree.
But yet there's so many atheists who, oh, they didn't love me, say that you love me. Like, oh, grow up.
Yeah, I remember. I remember one time I met this guy. He said that somehow this whole topic came up. He said, "I don't believe in God because He never did anything for me." And I thought, "Oh my God, that's the dumbest reason to be an atheist. God never did anything for you, therefore He doesn't exist."
Well,
I
that's
mean,
not,
obviously, I was on his side. I'm
hang
on
on,
his team, but
that is not that bad of an excuse in my opinion, because if this God does exist and is a personal God, you would think at least something would be done for you to know that this God's real.
But at this, well, maybe. But like, for example, the Bible. If you read the Bible, it's just people getting slaughtered left and right. It's like, yeah, if this God is real, or if a God is real, and it's like the Abrahamic God, then yeah, you're probably gonna have a shitty life. Or, I'm sorry, I don't mean crappy life.
No, you could say shitty. It's my mom says shitty.
Okay, well, I just don't want you to get in trouble with YouTube. I know.
Oh no, I say
I don't like
retarded
those.
on this. I mean,
Oh.
I
Well,
won't
you're
say
just
the
like
N word
listening
and I won't say
bot.
the F word because I can't. I just,
Well,
I can't say the F word.
you know what? This might make you think of me as more of a lefty, but even the extreme lefties like Vosh, and even to an extent, what's that guy's name? Destiny. They both use the mentally challenged R word, and I don't. And I feel like I'm not close as left as they are.
You know, I haven't listened to Destiny a lot, but what I've listened to me, we are very much the same.
I would love to see you two have a combo.
Well,
I
what
do
I'm saying is
think
it'd be
you
tough to
would-
find something we disagree about.
I think you two, and I haven't watched Destiny in forever, but I do think you two would agree a lot, probably economically, because I don't think he's a socialist or a Marxist
No,
or
yeah,
anything like that.
his view on capitalism and socialism mix is very similar to mine. I watched his debate with what's his name, on Modern Day Debate, and I've just found myself agreeing with him. It's all a matter of degree. He might,
he debated at Leo.
yeah, Leo,
Leo Phileas.
yeah, and I thought that was a great
Yeah.
civil debate.
It was.
But one thing we might disagree on, he thinks that all MAGA people are stupid and crazy. I've heard him say something.
And you're like, that ain't right. And
yeah,
you-
and the thing is,
back
MAGA
in
is
the-
the equivalent of my definition of woke. Like if someone starts talking about how MAGA is stupid and crazy, whatever, I'll ask them, what do you mean by MAGA? And I guarantee you they'll struggle with the definition of mega, like some people struggle with the definition of woke.
Okay, I'm only asking because you brought it up because I was trying to be civil. But what do you mean by woke? What is this woke stuff?
You didn't see my
Let me
video?
guess, feel sorry forism.
You didn't see my video? Right? I have a video that's like 3 minutes long. You've never seen it.
Say 3 hours long.
3 minutes. I made a clip. Okay, Gurr, just for you.
I'll look it up.
You gotta listen carefully,
please.
though. Okay, let all your emotions drain from your body so you can hear properly.
Done.
I define woke as this disease called feel sorry forism, which is basically feel sorry forism that's taken to the extreme, where you feel so sorry for, let's say, a disenfranchised, an oppressed person, that it causes you to not think objectively, and it causes you to excuse bad behavior. Wokeism is also entailed with this idea of we have the oppressors and the oppressed. And the oppressed are morally, in some way, morally superior to the oppressors. They are the victims. And so we need to listen to their stories, their experiences, give them, in a sense, privilege because they don't have privilege because the oppressors have the privilege. It also entails this whole idea of shutting down dialogue rather than opening it. If someone disagrees with you on certain key things, those voices need to be shut down, shouted down. We can't allow them to speak because they're either racist, bigoted, homophobe, or whatever. So a woke person, if they know you're a homophobe, they're less likely to talk to you. If they know you're a racist, they're less likely to talk to you. To me, this is what a woke person is.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm pretty much the opposite of that. If you're a racist, come on to my show. I want to ask you about it. If you're a transphobe, you're welcome on my show. Think of the most.
Well,
I would
talk to a fellow transphobe.
if you're a Nazi, come on my show. I want to ask you about that. If Hitler was still alive, he'd be welcome on my show.
Oh my God!
Someone clip that.
Someone clip that. I mean, I get the context. I mean, I really do. But
yeah, someone's going to clip that, and then just you and me, Gurr, are going to know the truth, right?
Oh man, I'm canceled. But yeah, okay. So, when it comes to being, sorry.
Do you understand my definition of woke now?
Maybe. Because here's the thing. The reason why I say maybe is because every time I ask somebody what do they mean by woke, I get a different answer. For example, I'll see people say that Marvel superhero movies, certain superhero movies, are woke. And I'm like,
okay, but here, let me explain this to you. I'm glad you're here because I can explain all of life to you.
You can enlighten me.
You're my Padway.
Padawan.
My Padawan. The reason why some people call certain Disney movies woke is because of this feel sorry forism concept that I just brought up. We feel sorry for women, so there should be more women who have lead roles. We feel sorry for black people, so we need the mermaid to be black. We feel sorry for trans people or gay people, so we need more gay trans stars or whatever, or at least characters.
If a movie, if a movie comes out and it has a black person or a woman or a trans woman, it's automatically woke?
No, of course not. But when you have a black Little Mermaid or there's certain characters. Even was it Snow White? I don't know. But when you Snow Black, when you have
yeah, there is. Never mind.
Or when you have a Nordic, even Game of Thrones, when you have like Nordic ancestry in a Nordic
that has dragons in it.
That has dragons in it, and also black people. You go, where do they come from? I mean,
it's not.
It's not
woke with dragons. It's woke when there's black people in it.
Yeah, that's in Norway at a certain part of the history time. So anyhow, you get the point. The point is that little.
But I don't know if I mean, I get it, but I just don't know if I agree with that. Because I get it, for example, the Little Mermaid, as you brought up, the cartoon, it was portrayed as a white girl, and the folklore is, I'm sure, I think it came from it's like an Irish type of thing or Scottish or some crap. So more than likely, it's going to be a white woman being a mermaid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just see it as fiction. So who cares if it's white or
black? Well, yeah,
but
I'm saying I think I think this is true. Someone in the higher ups in Disney made a press release, made it public that their
the
goal
gay propaganda, right?
No, that their goal was to have minority faces in like as 50% of the roles.
Is that bad or good to you, or neutral?
Well, I would say it's neutral to bad because it's if you let's say you have a pool of I don't know, Native Americans, probably the most oppressed in the woke view in the United States, and your goal is
Quotation marks there.
yeah, quotation marks.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, they get free reservations, free food, free snowmobiles. I mean,
Oh my
oppressed. It's true. What I just said is true. But so let's say you're working for Disney and you really want to get a Native American to act in this movie. That could, you know, it doesn't obviously, it can fit, okay?
Right.
Think about the pool of actors who are Native American and think of the pool of, let's say, white actors.
10 white actors, 1 Native American
Like
actor.
as white as me.
Right.
One pool is going to be way bigger than the other pool.
Right.
So right now, in order to find that one Native American actor, you either have to get really lucky, or you have to lower your standards on the acting ability or quality. You know, acting's a bad example because it's so subjective. I should have gone with engineering or something, but
No, I understand.
you understand the point I'm making. So basically, that's why I say neutral to lean bad.
I disagree.
Because
Which I'll get to.
because the pool of people you can choose from has now been severely restricted. It's much smaller, so you can't be as picky in who you pick.
But what if that's the way the script has it written?
Well, that's a completely different story. Like if the script is written for Native American enters scene left stage, yeah, fine.
Right. And what if, and even if it's not written as such, what if you're the director and you're like, you know what, I would really prefer a Native American or a Black woman to have this role because I think it would fit with my vision. Is that still woke?
It depends on the vision. If the vision is, my vision is so little Letitia watches her TV screen and feels good about seeing a Black person on screen. Yeah, that's woke.
If they do it only because they want.
If they're
that
only
little
doing it
girl
because
who's
they
watching
want,
TV to feel good.
because they feel sorry for them, that's my definition of wokeness.
What if the actor or actress is good in the role, and it still fits with the
Fine.
mind, the vision of the director?
Fine.
Is that still woke?
Oh, well, if the director's reason for it is that feel sorry for them, yeah, then it is. But if it happens to fit in with the genre of the movie, then as a whole, no. But for that one individual, yes.
Okay, so it's woke, but it's still good in that particular case.
Well, it depends if the movie's good. I'm just saying that it fits with the movie.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So what makes it good or bad is the reason for it. And I'm saying
what makes
that
it good or bad?
yeah, it's the reason for it.
I don't feel that way when it comes to movies because, as you said earlier, and I totally agree, it is subjective. If somebody casts a Black person or Native American or a trans person, if the movie or show or media is still good, to me, it's like great. Like it doesn't matter if it's considered woke or not. But with that said, Doug, I do appreciate you letting me on here, but I'm going to get going now. I'm sure you probably want to wrap it up or talk to somebody else, but I do enjoy talking with you. And
I unblocked you.
You did have me blocked.
I did have you blocked. And I honestly don't remember why, but I think it has to do not with what you did on my channel, but what you did on someone else's. That seems to be clicking in my memory. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to remember what that was.
You probably said some really racist thing about my wife.
Yeah, maybe, probably I did. It's one white person to another.
Everybody in the YouTube community knows you're a hardcore racist, so.
That's true. You got me. Don't tell my lefties. I'll tell the lefties. Okay. All right, you have a good
Only a
one.
racist would call into this show, right?
You got me there. I'll see
Take care. Hey, I think 150 views for staying up this late. But I'm having fun. And it's only 11:09 where I live. And it's only 10:09 in California. But you right coast people, yeah. I shouldn't have said that. Only racist people call on this show. Now nobody's going to call in. Like, yeah, JR, you're one of those Uncle Toms. You've called in this show, but you're black. Well, you say you're black. You look like you're black, but you're not really black. You're a flag-waving poser black. I don't remember, Bacon. I honestly don't remember. But if someone basically says that they hate the things I say or don't want anything to do with me or whatever, then I will fulfill their wish. Like even Nitty from, some of you know Nitty. I heard him say one time on another channel that he hate watches my channel. I don't want people to hate watch me. Like if you hate the things I say, then you shouldn't watch me. I mean, hate's a strong word, right? Now you can disagree with me, but I will fulfill your wish. If you want nothing to do with me, I will help you with that endeavor. I'm not here to make people sad. They don't have to listen to me. And if you find yourself having these negative, hateful emotions when watching me, then I'm doing you a favor by blocking you, making you less tempted. Didn't the KKK donate earlier? Yeah, trying to trigger me. Didn't work. I would even talk to a KKK member. See, this is the difference between me and someone who's woke. They couldn't do that. That reminds me of that, what's that guy's name? African American in the United States who goes into KKK clubs and talks to them. Actually makes friendships with KKK members. Someone here knows his name. But I am better than many woke people because I can do that and you guys can't. Na 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 na. I'm not limited in who I can talk to. I'll even talk to woke people. Like Grr. And Dog Bark, I saw you try to call in before. But the home office in Wichita said you're way too boring for this show. Daryl, you're right. Daryl something. Sorry, Japheth. We're ending the show. I was once called racist for calling Obama the first half-white president. Yeah. When you say the truth, you can be called racist. But it's true. Actually, wasn't he half Asian? No, he was half white, half black. He was mixed. But because we feel sorry for African Americans in this country, you got to call them black, not half white. I was about to address the meaning of life. I can tell you the meaning of life, Japheth. The meaning of life is relationships. To real people. Not imaginary gods. Oh yeah, Tiger Woods is half Asian, half... See, Tiger Woods is another thing. In the United States, Tiger Woods is known as this great black golfer. But he's not African American. He's half African American, half Asian, and maybe some other things. Oh, that was bad. That was good. If you've been here for 3 hours, good job. Well done, good and faithful servant.